What's up, everybody? I'm Dr. Winters, and we are back again, and I am burnt. And I'm not gonna lie, when I move around, it hurts a lot. But not as bad as some of the teeth in these videos that you guys tagged me in this week, because they are crazy. And let's be honest, that's what your guys are here for, because I'm the internet's dentist, and I basically watch your videos every week and tell you what the heck is going on. So we might as well get right into it. And also, make sure to like and subscribe so I can get to 10 million followers to get this dang bracket off my teeth. It would help a lot. All right, wearing 2 pairs of rubber bands so that I can get my braces off tomorrow. Oh my gosh, what you got, some little vertical ones? Yep, some settling elastics, good deal. You know, all right, the age-old question, and guess what? You know, I love the tenacity there. You're really trying hard to get yourself out of braces. But what if I told you that doing this could actually potentially slow down you getting out braces? I know, it's weird. But the reason is, you see, because braces is a force load system, and you actually need light, continuous forces over time to move teeth. And it's because you have this very intricate system of your tooth. So what happens is your tooth sits in the bone, and you have these things called PDL fibers that sit around them. And then the way that you move the tooth into that system decides whether the bone needs to dissolve, to build, and to move that tooth across, your mouth. And the problem is, if you push too hard against that system, aka you add too much force, instead of the tooth actually nicely moving through the bone and through your teeth, it actually ends up dissolving the tooth because of a trauma-like response. And so your body actually shuts down the movement of that tooth because it's apparently too much force against that system. So adding double rubber bands can actually add too much force because, we predict the exact amount of force we want to use. That's why you have different rubber bands. You have the parrots and the rams and all the different animals and all that. That's because those are actually different forces that we're putting on particular sets of wires that we know aren't going to go over that threshold of too much force. And that's actually why we don't like people doing their own braces and stuff, is because they don't understand how much force they're putting on. And if they put too big a wire in too early, it creates too much force, causes problems, and can even cause permanent damage to those teeth. So will wearing 2 rubber bands get your braces off faster? Probably not. In fact, actually what will get them off more is actually just wearing the rubber bands and wearing them over a long period of time and not taking them off, or barely taking them off, because time in wear is way greater than the force in wear. And I tell my patients this all the time, it actually takes over 8 hours of force on your teeth before they even start to move at all. And if you only wear them 8 hours and then you stop wearing them, you basically did nothing for that entire day. That's why we want you to wear them 24 hours a day, take them out to eat, take them out to brush your teeth, and then you'll get past that 8 hours, your teeth will start to move, and then you'll continually move through that process. If you're only wearing it at night for 8 hours, you're just about to start moving those teeth, and then you reset everything throughout the day, and then you go back in the night and you wear it again, and you wonder why teeth are not moving. That's the reason why. So use the force we tell you to and wear them constantly, and you will see those teeth move. And coincidentally, get out of braces faster. When the dentist missed us, oh my gosh, is that a nail file? Jesus, people are still doing this in 2026? Are we in 2027? I don't even know this. Oh my gosh. So yeah, definitely would not do this. Okay, now what she's basically doing is she's saying, my teeth are uneven for whatever reason. And if you actually pause it and look, you can see her lower teeth are actually kind of not straight like this. They're down like this. Now, this could be an error in the braces that she got, maybe, potentially, or it could be an uneven wear pattern. So she could just be grinding on one side of her teeth. And so what that's doing is wearing down one side to make it more even. And so what she did is to kind of fix this, is she's gonna go and she's just gonna grind down all of her teeth. There's a couple reasons why that's a bad idea. One is you only have so much enamel. So if you're just wearing away that enamel, you can get into the yellower dentin area, and then even potentially the pulp. You'll see a little red dot if you go too far. And if you do that, well, now you gotta get a root canal and a crown. So that's a bad idea. And 2, if you remove too much enamel, your teeth become really, really sensitive, and you can cause issues that way. Now, the crazy part is we actually do this on purpose in the orthodontic office. It's called Hollywood, or enameloplasty, which would be the scientific term. But we know exactly how much we can take off. We're smoothing, we're doing things, and we're doing things in a proper manner that aren't going to harm your teeth. Alex comes in hot saying this is actually incredibly dangerous and can cause reversible damage, so don't do this. I think she meant to say can cause irreversible damage, and she is very right. It's not reversible. It's definitely irreversible. You can't grow back enamel. And Kiara says it's fun until you hit a nerve. Yeah, that would be very bad. That's basically that red spot that you would see. If you see that, you've gone too far. And actually, you see it a lot when people fall and break their front tooth in half, and you can pop through there. So just maybe, maybe it's better to just not. Oh my gosh, one of the comments close says, what does the Bentist think about this? Well, my thoughts are, just don't do this. Why? Are in 2026, 6 years later, I've been talking about this stuff, and people are still doing this today. It's almost like they haven't seen any of my videos. And Danny says, as a dental assistant, I have no words. Well, I have some words for you. Don't do this. Hope that helps. All right, whoever said brush your teeth with baking powder, I hope you, okay, that's aggressive. Baking powder. I know that's just gonna taste disgusting. Disgusting. But she's, props to her, she's going for it. Ooh, I can just feel the bitterness in my mouth. You see, the problem is, I don't think she understood the situation here because it should have been baking soda, not baking powder. I'm pretty sure baking powder actually has acid in it, which is probably not good, but it's like a mess. The reason why baking soda works is because it's more basic. It neutralizes the pH in your mouth, and it's also a pretty decent, it's not abrasive at getting stuff off, but it cleans your teeth pretty nicely. Baking powder, on the other hand, has that acidic, like cream of tartar or whatever. You don't want to be using that on your mouth. Yeah, and it probably tastes terrible as well. Now, even if this was baking soda, which people use all the time, in fact, there's baking soda toothpaste. I have no problem with baking soda. In fact, that's a misnomer that it actually damages your teeth. It actually has a pretty low relative dent and abrasion limit, so it actually probably won't damage your teeth. So I actually don't have a problem with baking soda in a toothpaste at all. I actually think it's kind of good sometimes. It makes things taste a little funky, but I think it's good. But the problem is it really doesn't add anything beyond that. There's no fluoride or nanohydroxyapatite to help repair or strengthen the teeth. And obviously, like in our Zero Pro, we have actual direct attacking of the bacteria that are causing it. So there's nothing like that per se in baking soda by itself, but it's not going to harm you. And a major part of cleaning your teeth and getting rid of disease and stuff like that is just cleaning and brushing the gunk off of your teeth. And so will it work? Yes, it will. Is it as good as some of these other things that you can get? Nah, not really, but I don't have a problem with it, especially if you substitute it every now and then. The really big goal is just brush and floss your teeth mechanically. Everything else is a bonus from there, for sure. That was the first comment. Baking soda, not baking powder. Exactly. And Frankie said, I did this and it tasted so bad. Well, luckily there are baking soda toothpaste you can find that tastes a little bit better if you really want to add baking soda in yourself. You can also just take a normal toothpaste and maybe put a little bit of baking soda on top, like a little dab, and then that could do it too. Maybe different options. Either way, don't use baking powder, please. This is your sign to change your tongue ring jewelry. Oh, she's got a gold. Is that a gold onlay in there? Or is that just the camera? There's probably a lot of people that are wondering, say, Bentist, I don't even know what's going on here. I'm confused. Why is she saying tongue ring jewelry, all this? Well, let's pause it on the teeth here. We can see 3 different teeth. Now, what we're seeing is probably like a black light or ultraviolet light. We use these in dentistry sometimes to figure out where the composite fillings are. And so obviously that middle one is a gold or amalgam onlay, right? It's going across the teeth, that's fine. Now those other ones you're seeing on either side, you're gonna see a little bit of hue of purple. And that's actually the filling material that you've got there. Now on one side, you can see this big one here on the inside here. And on this other tooth, you're seeing this massive, big one there. And so what she's probably talking about is a very common thing we see, and it actually looks like this one on the inside is broken off, is when we get somebody with a metal tongue ring, especially the metal ball attachment, they bite down accidentally all the time. We bite our tongues all the time naturally. We bite lips, things like this on accident. And so when you're chewing, and then something gets over there, that little ball gets over there, you bite down on it, guess what happens? Your tooth cracks and breaks. And so yes, it says story time. As you can see, I already have a filling on this tooth, it's pretty deep. I did bite down on my metal tongue ring and had to get a crown because of how much tooth I've lost. I bit down on my tongue ring bar, and as you can see, I bit it and broke it clean right off. I love my tongue ring, but it is not worth it. And that's actually true. We see this all the time, and unfortunately, your teeth are not tools, and they're definitely not meant to be biting on metal balls all the time. And so yes, we see this all the time. We also see a little thing right here that we get on tongue rings from people that put it in the center and they bite on it. You'll see a little hole right here in the middle and just chips on the front teeth everywhere because of this as well. Exie said, as soon as mine healed, I changed it to a silicone bar. Everybody who has a tongue piercing should. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, if you really have to have a tongue piercing, get the silicone ball and the silicone rod. That way it at least protect your teeth somewhat from stuff like this, but you can still crack a tooth. And even Megan says, yep, I lost a tooth because I cracked it all the way down from a tongue ring. And Maddie Claire says, as a dental assistant, any mouth piercing is going to damage your teeth in some way. And I will actually agree with her on this one, because I'd have never seen somebody with long-term mouth jewelry going on that has not damaged or chipped their teeth in some way over a long period of time. So, maybe just, I don't know, don't pierce your tongues and do all that stuff, and then you will save your teeth, because, I feel like your teeth is better than a little cool looking tongue ring, if at least you think it looks cool. I don't really like tongue rings, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. You guys let me know down below if you think it's worth having a tongue ring for aesthetics, if it means you're gonna damage your teeth. For me, it's a no-go. Watch me get my veneer with Gorilla Glue. Oh my gosh. So aggressive. Jesus. She had a veneer pop off, okay. I'm scared that she says she's gonna reattach it with Gorilla Glue. We're gonna get to that. But it does look like this is actually a microdont a little bit, which is just basically she had a smaller lateral. And so they filled in those gaps with a veneer. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here.
This is why we keep Gorilla Glue on hand at all times.
Okay, so technically that's not the Gorilla Glue I thought of. That's just Gorilla Glue's super glue, which actually is cyanoacrylate, which is actually something that you could use to reattach a veneer if you had to in a pinch. Oh my gosh, her with the screaming. She's so extra. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. And there you go. So she's got it back on there. Now, a couple things that I note too is obviously she was probably missing some laterals, had some issues here. She actually, you can see this dark gum line she's got over this top left area. That means she was probably missing these teeth in general. So instead of getting braces to fix it, they probably just did veneers across the front here, or maybe they just did these two teeth. It could be that way too, but it is a way of dealing with it. Now the problem is when they fall off a lot, which happens with veneers, you can't really just super glue it. I mean, it's a temporary fix you could do, but it's just gonna keep popping off. And the problem is because you actually need to etch the enamel. You actually need to do chemical processing on the enamel to get it to attach to a certain glue. And so it's just not gonna work. So she needs to go into a dentist's office, she needs to get it polished down, and she needs to get it re-glued back on there properly. And then she needs to probably do some bite registration and take a look and see why she's hitting so hard that's causing it to bite off. Unfortunately, these ones in the front, it happens a lot, and it just happens to be right where you're smiling all the time. And actually, Millie brings up a good point here. She says, when you give veneers, do they always angle out like that? And so that's no, I was gonna bring that up a little bit because, you know, unfortunately veneers as a crutch, like maybe she didn't get braces, she just decided to get veneers and said, screw it, right? But if you don't get braces to fix the bite issue, then you still have a bad bite with veneers, which is gonna cause you to bite into this angle, which is probably what she's doing with this flared out veneer look here. And it's just gonna cause them to keep popping off over time. So she may even need to get her bite corrected and the veneers redone to really make it work. Destiny says, also the gingival margin around number 7 is extremely dark and looks suspicious. It's not suspicious, that's just an implant. That happens with implants. You're seeing the metal come through the gum tissue there. And that's why I don't like doing implants here in the front. Actually, what we normally do is a canine substitution where we bring that canine over and we open up a space back here and then we put the implant back here so you can't see it and you're smiling in the front. Either way, super glue, not Gorilla Glue, could actually work for a temporary reason, but there's going to be bigger things that she needs to get fixed to make sure that this stays permanent and looks good forever. But you know, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know, you guys let me know. Going through my memories, but just me serving face up and getting my, oh my gosh, that's, what? There is no way that's real. What are we, oh my gosh, either she has, okay, no, that's a weird, like I'm seeing like a little wire thing come out here. What is that? And her fingers warped, okay. So either one of two things has to happen. Either this is AI, which I don't think it is because this was posted, maybe it is, I don't know, or it's a face filter. And I'm pretty sure it's a face filter. Now that being said, it doesn't mean that you can get a pretty wonky looking face when you get your wisdom teeth taken out. And by no means is it normal. It just depends on the level of impaction of your teeth. If your teeth are already in and their wisdom teeth are just barely not making it, they're easy to take out. You're not gonna have a ton of swelling. If they're very sideways, impacted and crazy, and they have to really go in there and kind of break them up and do all this drilling and filling and stuff, then yes, you're gonna have a trauma response. Your cheeks are gonna be pooped out like this. They're gonna be all purple, but that's a pretty rare occasion. So she probably does not look anywhere near this bad. And actually in this day and age, getting your wisdom teeth is actually pretty easy and pretty simple to do. And you're back at school within a day or two. So it's not even that big of a deal anymore. Now for some people with super impacted ones and it looks gnarly, then yeah, maybe a little bit more, but still. Oh my gosh, Poo Monkey with the, is that like the homunculus? Is that what they call it? The homunculus or whatever? She's gotta have something going on. Claire says, please tell me this is a filter. I'm getting my wisdom teeth out tomorrow. Yes, it's more than likely a filter or AI. I don't know where those little wire things are coming from. That was kind of weird to me. But yeah, no, you're fine. You're gonna be just okay. You're literally gonna fall asleep, take some sleepy juice, count back from 3. You're gonna wake up and be like, what the heck just happened? I don't know, my wisdom teeth are out, and it's gonna be over like that. I knew I've seen this before. Who is, okay, I don't know why, but this is weirdly giving me a flashback. Somebody tell me where this picture is from. I've seen this purple man somewhere. Please tell me. But basically, don't worry. It's okay. Wisdom teeth are normal. A lot of people get them out. It's not as big of a deal as it used to be, and you will be just fine. And you're not gonna look like this crazy faced lady here. Or you might, depending on how bad your wisdom teeth are impacted. Day 30 of chewing gum with my front teeth to see if it fixes my overbite. Final day. Well, you know, I'm not gonna lie, he's not really showing me his overbite. So, oh, I can see his, let's pause it there on the end there where I can see him. A couple things. He's got a deep bite, okay? It's actually a class 2 division 2 bite. It's a special type of bite where basically you have this overbite and so your teeth want to touch each other. And so what happens is they start to go back and tip back like this. And so he's got a deep bite, but because his body's trying to touch his teeth because he's actually got a class 2 or an overbite, which is causing that deep bite. Anyways, doesn't matter. The question is, can chewing gum with your front teeth magically drive up that bite and get it there? Now, the interesting thing is we use this type of biomechanics in braces. We call them bite blocks or anterior bite props. They're these little things that go on the back of your 2 front teeth. And if you have a deep bite, we actually put it on the back of your teeth. So when you bite down, you jam into them, and over a long period of time, they start to drag and drive those teeth away from you, fixing your deep bite. So the theory, it makes sense. Now the problem is that chewing gum is not gonna work. The force is not enough, and you would have to literally be chewing gum 24/7 all day long with that. And the other issue is he has that tipped back teeth. So if he fixed that, he still has this kind of, this jaw issue going on. He really needs braces. He needs to deflare these, figure out he has an overbite, and then wear some rubber bands to fix that and get it back to normal. So is it gonna fix his jawline? No. Is it gonna get rid of his overbite? No. Was he close and on the right track? Actually, kind of. So that's interesting to say, but unfortunately, no, it is not gonna fix his issue. DNR says, dude, just start mewing with a perfect bite, and it took me only 2.5 months from an overbite. Now, there is some pros to mewing. I actually do agree that there are tons of good things that can happen with oral facial muscle control and getting your bite in the right process and all that type of stuff. The thing is it's not going to just magically fix a lot of his issues just mewing, you know, because he's got a lot more than that. He's got deflaring, he's got actual physical skeletal bite issues, stuff like that. So not gonna do the best, but it will help a little bit. Probably more than chewing gum with his front teeth. And Eaterin says, wait, how long do you chew? He says, I do 1 to 3 hours at that. Now, like I said, there is physiological stuff happening. And I mean, you might get a little bit of doing that, but it's not gonna be enough to completely fix, you know, an overbite or anything like that. And like I said, he's still got all these other issues that are going on, but dang, you know, it's just not gonna work as good as he thought. I would like to see a side by side though, to see how much he may have got a little bit. But regardless, I will tell you what will work: braces. It's almost like we've already come up with things to actually physically change and manipulate your body while you're growing. It's crazy, isn't it? But you know, it's probably not gonna hurt. I mean, actually, technically it could cause TMJ if you really overworked it and did it in a weird way. So yeah, if you're starting to have jaw pain or you're doing anything like this, probably stop. Probably don't do this, and maybe go see your orthodontist and get it actually fixed. That'd be sweet. But you know, what do I know? I'm just a all right, what do you got? Oh my goodness gracious. That girl didn't lose 1 teeth, she lost a whole lot. Okay, so, wait, well, she's getting some wax? And just sticking some wax on there. Huh, you know, just a little wax can sell. It's like the duct tape of the tooth world, that wax. But for real though, obviously, you guys tagged me a ton in this, said, Bentist, what the heck? Why is all of her teeth moving? Is braces really that dangerous? Gonna rip all my teeth out? And no, the answer is no. And you know, although you can, if you have really bad periodontal disease, gum disease, you get braces, you can cause problems like that where you will ruin your teeth over time. This is why it's really important to go see an orthodontist to do your braces. But in this case, more than likely, this girl, for whatever reason, is missing all these lower teeth. Developmentally, whatever, she's missing these teeth. And so what we do is we put these things called Pontics, little plastic teeth, in the area of the room while you're doing braces, so you don't have a giant gap there. And while it does work for one tooth, well, when you've got like 5 teeth like that, they're just kind of hanging on to nothing, and there's not really anything you can do about that. I mean, that's not something that really works that well when you got that many fake teeth. So especially in these earlier wires, like this thin flexible one that this girl's in, well, it just comes out and causes a bunch of problems. So my guess is she was using the wax to maybe implant it down or something. I don't know if there's really a better way to do this. You could like bond sometimes like an entire metal band behind the back to kind of glue it onto the teeth a little bit and hold it a little bit better. But yeah, there's not really much you can do. I mean, you can get implants and stuff after the fact, but during the middle of braces, it's really tough. So sometimes you just have to leave the gap there. And then Jan says, me with braces, I'm seeing this. Don't worry, they're fake teeth, not real teeth. And as long as you brush and floss, you're gonna be just fine. Guiglia. Yeah, I'm scared too when I saw this at first, but you know, luckily I'm an orthodontist and I knew exactly what was going on. We can just hope that these aren't real teeth, because if they are, she's got bigger problems than braces. All right, what do we got? Ooh, a rubber dam tutorial. Okay, yeah, this is great. So yeah, first you got to put that rubber dam clamp. You saw him poking some holes there. And so yeah, there we go. He's poking the holes now. We used to have a stamp that did this, but he was doing it by marking. And And he's looking at him. He's adding a little lubricant there because you got to slide it on over the teeth. Now, this is because like when you have an infection, like a cavity, things like that, when we're getting all that infection out, everything like that, we don't want stuff to infect that area, right? We don't want saliva, bacteria, other things getting into this nicely cleaned area that we're putting a filling in because we don't want it to get it reinfected. Okay, looks like he's doing something with some floss here, building a little lasso loop ligature thing. I wonder what that's, oh. I'm confused at what he's doing there. I don't know. Oh, he's using it to kind of pull the rubber dam down onto the tooth to kind of tighten it down in there. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before. That's kind of nice. And so what it's doing is it's basically just holding everything down there so that he can get in there and clean that molar off, do it. And then the final thing you want to do is this isolation check, basically so the water is not leaking. So that means that there's no saliva coming in and out of the area. But yeah, rubber dams are super cool. They're super efficient at keeping the area clean because like I said, the last thing we want to do is once we get all that bacteria out there is for your saliva or something to get in there to not only reinfect the area potentially, but also sometimes, you know, water, things like that can affect the bond and it can make that bond fail of that new, you know, filling material or crown or whatever that we're doing in the area. Kimberly says that clamp looks painful as hell. And actually, yeah, that clamp can be really painful, especially if you have like gum poofiness up on there because it's really sharp. So when it clamps on there, if you don't get it perfectly on the tooth and you get it in that gum tissue, yeah, you can cause some bleeding and it can really hurt. And then Doc Talk said, can the patient breathe? And yes, actually they can. Normally we try and cut it around the nose so that they can breathe out through the nose. It is really hard to breathe through the mouth. You can technically do it because it can kind of flap out the sides. But most of the time we try until you basically kind of like do that. And your tongue and everything is still normal behind that rubber dam. It's really just that one area that we're kind of, you know, blocking off to keep everything dry and isolated. And then lastly, Jude says, what is this procedure for? Well, it's normally for anything really. I mean, a filling, a crown, a root canal, things like that. Now, obviously most dentists don't use rubber dams for everything, especially small fillings, things like that. But for bigger procedures like root canals and crowns and stuff like that, it's definitely a lot more normal to see a rubber dam used. But some dentists don't use it at all because they have better isolation methods with other different ways of rubber dams, but rubber dam is the gold standard. All right, why did no one tell me that? Cavities are infectious, they literally spread. So it looks like she's using a little proxy brush in there to clean between the teeth. Now, I'm gonna actually pause it right here. You can see, obviously, you know, she's got all these past cavities that have kind of came from one tooth all the way down to the other teeth in that area, right? And now there's something really important to know. Now, obviously those aren't current cavities, those are fillings, those are amalgam fillings, which are metal. But the fact remains is that in that entire area, she got the infection of a cavity and they had to get rid of it by doing drillings and fillings and all that. What I'm trying to really harp on here is that cavities, yes, are infectious. And the reason is that they spread via bacterial infection. So it is a bacteria that is causing the problem. It is not sugar, it is not acid, it is not all these things. All of those things can contribute to the final act of getting a cavity, but cavity is basically solely meant by this one bacteria called strep mutans, S mutans. And when you're born, you can't get cavities. That's kind of crazy to think. It's only when your mother gives you this bacteria, and sometimes you don't even get it. Sometimes you get lucky, your mom doesn't have a lot of strep mutans in her mouth, and you're the type that never has to brush her teeth and you never get cavities. But the fact remains is that yes, it works this way, not the other way. So you basically brush and floss to get that bacteria removed every single day as it regrows over and over again for the rest of your life. Now that's actually why we developed our Zero Pro with the BioFuse technology. It's the first ever biotech toothpaste that uses these things called nanolipid emulsions to directly target and attack that bacteria and get rid of just solely strep mutans as well as Peyronievallis. We target 2 different bacteria. And that's really important because before that, there was really nothing that targeted the bacteria. There was xylitol, and xylitol actually works pretty good. We actually have xylitol in here, but that's an indirect way of targeting that bacteria. It's not direct. So basically what that does is it tries to compete for sugar to starve out the bacteria because the bacteria eat sugar. The problem is if you're doing xylitol, that's great, but if you're still eating candies and sweets, you're still powering that bacteria either way. So it's gonna help, but it's not gonna be direct. Ours is actually directly attacking. I actually got rid of 99.9% of strep mutans in my mouth in 8 days. And in our double-blind human study we did, it was they reduced it 50% in 14 days, and it just keeps reducing it as you use it. Now you're gonna see more products that come out all over, not just oral care, that use these nanolipid emulsions and these new techniques of getting rid of bacteria without having an antibacterial medication that you're taking. But it's really, really important for people to know because this is the first thing that could really directly reduce that bacteria, stopping you from getting cavities, which is really awesome. And so, yes, the first step though is to let people know that they are infectious and they spread. And it's not due to genetics, it's actually just because of the bacteria in your mouth. And then Odyssey says, xylitol gum, hydroxyapatite toothpaste, and coconut oil oregano are my holy grail. And so, I mean, the xylitol is great. Like I said, we use xylitol in our toothpaste, but it's indirect and it takes a lot of time. And if you're still eating sugar, it's not an end all be all. Hydroxyapatite or nano hydroxyapatite particularly really just basically repairs the damage caused by these bacteria. It doesn't actually deal with the bacteria directly. And oil oregano, that's not going to really do anything to these bacteria. And so really the only thing in the world are these nanolipid emulsions right now. And we're the only product in the world that does this in the oral care sector. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. And then Nicole Pierce says, fact, they can go from person to person as well. Exactly, that's how you get it. Your mother kisses you, drinks after you, you kiss somebody, you lick a block in play school, and then somebody else grabs it and licks the block. You know, it transmits that way. Know that it's contagious. Know that you can swap these bacteria back and forth, which can cause the problem, strep mutans, and then now know that there's finally a way to do with it with these new nanolipid emulsions and biotech. I'm sure we're not going to be the only people that have ever come out with this in the future, but right now we are the only one to put it out in the market, and you can actually get it right now. It's pretty crazy. And if you don't get our toothpaste, that's totally fine. As long as you're brushing, flossing, and really taking care of your teeth every single day, you can at least keep those bacteria at bay. But if you want to reduce them directly, that's really the only way to do it is with our biotech nanolipid emulsions. This small white dot is ruining my life. It hurts so bad. Canker sore or what? Okay, no, that is not a canker sore. That small white dot is an inflamed taste bud, more than likely. And yes, they are very painful. Your tongue actually has a lot of nerves in it, weirdly enough, you know, and so when you get this inflamed taste bud that sits there, well, guess what? It's really painful. And there's not really much you can do. I mean, it can be physical, like you bit on it and cause it to inflame. Sometimes it can be dietary. There's really nothing I know of. You know, if it stays inflamed, sometimes you can get it removed, but it's like, it is kind of a weird thing. And it is just one of those things you just gotta wait out and it normally goes away. But it is not a canker sore. Canker sores are the kind of white things you see on these loose tissue here that kind of look like craters. They're called aphthous ulcers, and those are also very painful. And you also have to wait about 10 days for those to go away. King Carter says, I have the same thing right now and I can't do. Well, yes, that's true. You really can't do anything other than just deal with it. It's one of those things. Just deal with it. There we go. Alex came in. It'll go away in a few days. It's just a swollen taste bud. And yes, it is. Ooh, we got some advice here. It's just a swollen taste bud. It happens when your immune system didn't like the food you ate. And it also happens when you're low on vitamins. I hope this helped. And actually, I do believe I've seen studies where it does have to do with some foods that you've eaten. I don't know about the immune system part. And I actually do think there is something with low on vitamins too.
A few moments later.
So actually it does say a lack of iron, zinc, or B complex vitamins like B12 and folate. It can also happen due to dry mouth and to stress and acid reflux GERD. So, okay, so whenever I start seeing like a ton of different reasons like that, well, more than likely it just means we don't really know. We don't really know why it happens. Everything causes it. So you just gotta wait it out and then hopefully it will go away and stop causing you problems. All right, how I attach my headgear without my expander in. Okay, so he was doing a double whammy there. Yeah, so this is cool. Let's watch him do it. So obviously we have some little hooks there on the front of the braces to pull this. Now this is what we call a reverse pull face mask, okay? And so that basically means we're pulling from the front this direction, okay? And so the cool part about that is that basically what this does is it increases his upper jaw forward. So, you know, normally when we're doing this, if you don't have jaw issues, we can just use regular rubber bands. So if you have an underbite and we're just going from here to here, we go down from here to here, and it pulls everything the other direction. Now, if we're trying to physically grow the upper jaw without affecting much else, well, then we need anchorage points and we need to pull from that guy right there. Now, this is a way that you can kind of basically do a surgery without doing a surgery. Now, normally what I would say is you would want to do this on a kid, you know, 9, 10, 11 even. Now, he looks like he's almost 18, 16, 17, 18, which means that he's gonna get less growth than he would have if he would have been going through puberty. So a little unfortunate that he didn't get to it too early, but for the most part, works pretty good. The really issue that I see with this and what I've always seen is just patient compliance. So you're gonna give this to a patient, and if they're not fully bought in, like obviously this guy's probably into the looks maxing trends and everything, so he really is important. He wants to do this, but most people don't care, don't wanna wear their headgear, and so that's why we've switched more to just wearing regular rubber bands on the braces versus doing headgear now. And then if you really have a discrepancy in your jaw, you get a jaw surgery or something like that. But this can definitely work if you use it and you're really, really serious about doing it all the time. Carla Spam says, OMG, I had one of these in the 2nd grade. Now see, 2nd grade, that would have been a way better time to be doing this because you actually would have physically been moving the jaws. Really good. Allison said, that's weirdly attractive. I'm not gonna lie, back in my day, headgear was not attractive. But you know what? The pendulum swings and it always goes back and forth. So I guess maybe they're cool now. Looks fire, not gonna lie. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe headgear are cool. Maybe I should start reintroducing headgear into the practice just because, you know, people love it nowadays. And you know, I'm all in for helping some skeletal growth move along there. But I don't know, you let me know, is headgear cool now or is it not cool? Let me know. You think you can hurt me? I had all my teeth pulled at 24 years. Oh my gosh, what do we got here? Yeah, she got them pulled all right. Oh man, she got all on, like that's all on like 6, she got like 6 or 7 implants up top. Girl got a Rolls Royce in her mouth. She says, but so worth it. I love my spikes. Okay, I mean, a lot of thoughts here, Now, obviously, one thing we're not gonna do is I'm not gonna come in and I'm not gonna theorize about why she doesn't have her teeth. Really, there's only 3 different reasons normally that happen that I see people lose their teeth. Normally, it's due to some genetic condition. You know, you get like, you know, your enamel doesn't form right, or you have dentagenesis imperfecta or something like that. And then eventually it's just easier to just pull them, get rid of them, you know? Another thing is you could be missing teeth. Another genetic thing, you could have hypodontia, severe hypodontia, I don't know. Another thing obviously is just dental neglect, AKA you didn't take care of your teeth, you didn't brush them. A lot of times this is due to your family actually, because if no one teaches you to brush your teeth, your parents don't care if you ever brush your teeth, they give you sodas at night, they don't care, they don't teach you, they don't educate you, they don't take you to the dentist, you're not gonna have a good time with your teeth health. And then they ended up getting rotted over time, and then you gotta pull them and take them out, and it's too late. And then the third one is obviously different drug use, things like that. Like I said, not saying that she does that. It could be a mix of all 3, could be none of them, could be one of them, I don't know. She could have done it just for fun. But regardless, this happens sometimes, you know, and it's unfortunate to see in a 24-year-old because they're so young. And it's like, man, I wish, actually, that's one of the reasons why I do all the education I do is so hopefully if your parents don't educate you on taking care of your teeth, maybe you can at least learn something from me. And then you're like, hey, I know you didn't teach me to brush my teeth, but the dentist says to brush your teeth and floss and take care of it and how cavities are formed and strep mutans and bacteria and all these cool things. And maybe I can at least save 1 tooth out there. And I feel like after 7 years, 8 years, and billions of you educating you guys, hopefully I have saved some teeth out there. I really hope so. But needless to say, if you are gonna lose all your teeth, she did it the exact perfect way I would do it. Now it's very expensive to do, but it is the way to do it. And she got implants all over her upper teeth there, and then that's gonna snap in a really nice denture. It's gonna look really good, and it's gonna be solid, and it's gonna protect her bone loss. Because if you don't know, if you get all these teeth removed and you just get into regular dentures, well, your bone like dissolves away over time, and then the dentures don't fit anymore, and you gotta get them remade every year, and the bone just keeps going away and away and away, and then you end up like that old lady that the nose touches the chin and it's just like, it's bad, you know? So she did the right way to do it. It's just, I wish we could have saved them before they got all removed, but it is what it is. And then Ezra says, so we just not brushing our teeth now? Well, like I said, we don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think we can all agree that we should brush our teeth and floss because that is one of the reasons why this could happen. So if we brush, we floss, we take care of ourselves, maybe even use some new biotech stuff like our Zero Pro with the nanolipid emulsions, well, we can go ahead and prevent this from happening to us or our kids or our friends. Oh my gosh, the toothless dragon. That's me. That's me. Can't do that, but funny, but me. And then actually she showed a picture of herself there with them in. Someone was being mean and said went from 24 to 94, and she said, I got them back, don't worry. And so you can see just how good they look when they're in. I mean, when you do it the implant way, it actually works really, really good. And they are right though. Like when you lose teeth and you go from no teeth to having teeth, you really do age a lot with that look. So it's pretty crazy to see somebody without teeth and then they go back into their teeth. They look completely different. Either way, I think we all learn, brush your teeth, take care of them, and hopefully you won't be 24 and get all your teeth removed. Hopefully this is a cautionary tale, regardless of why she lost them. All right, what do we got here? Doing some oh, I know exactly where this is going. Oh! Oh my gosh, that tooth is just cracked right diddly in half. That's why I tell you guys, I try and tell you, teeth are not tools. I see everybody biting on everything from pencils to, you know, top end to ripping bags open. Your teeth are meant to chew food, okay? They're not meant for tools to break open things or pop bottle caps or beer bottles or whatever it is. Now this one, normally when we see stuff like this, it's because like you're eating like steak or a burger and it's got that gristle in it, that bone, and you just go, and you bite down really hard, accidentally not knowing what it is, because you have protective reasons where your body doesn't want you to bite down hard. And so if you don't know what's in there, you bite down, goes in there, splits it open, you're gonna have that crack. Now, unfortunately, the treatment for this is just basically getting rid of that tooth completely. There's no saving this tooth once it's cracked down the middle. You can't do anything about it. You literally just gotta pull that tooth and get an implant. And I tell you, that was probably so painful. Ooh, and a lot of times you don't even know. Actually, it says this patient arrived reporting pain in the dental element that apparently had nothing. I don't know what that means, but yeah, a lot of people don't even know that they broke the tooth. They're just like, this hurts, I'm getting some weird pain here, and then we look at it and sure enough, that tooth is just cracked in half and the nerve is just hanging out, which is absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, the flip-flops like curled in. He's like, yeah, that's probably what I feel every time that thing opens. Oh my gosh, nobody told me I needed a crown after the root canal. Okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, a lot of times we do see teeth crack like this too. It's like they'll get a root canal or something down the middle, and then they don't get a final crown over it. And that basically is like when we whittle out the middle of the tooth, there's nothing there left. And so like there's no support anymore. So the tooth can just crack down the middle sometimes. And that's probably what they're talking about. No root canal or crown is gonna save this tooth anymore. It is exactly what Ariana has there, the extraction forceps, which is, we're just gonna pull that bad boy. We're gonna take that guy and rip it out. So, maybe just don't bite down on things. Maybe just use them to chew and eat food like a normal person. Help! Why does my retainer look like this, the Bentist? Hey, that's me. Okay, well, let's look. Okay, it looks like an Essex retainer. Okay, yeah, I see. It's just like, it's not fully, it's a little wavy, it's a little movie, it's not covering every single tooth perfectly. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. It's totally okay. That retainer is totally normal. What you saw is the difference between, there are retainers that are pre-made. Like you can go get them from Invisalign, right? They're called Vivera retainers. And those have scalloped margins, or they're actually like digitally printed to match your teeth perfectly and exactly. Okay, what you have is an Essex retainer that was basically taken. They took your model, they put the plastic, they sucked it down on top of that model, and then they just cut it out with some scissors, and then they just polished the edges around. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work or anything like that. It's just, it was handmade with some love and some care. And as long as it's covering a majority of the tooth, like 80-90% of the tooth, you're probably just fine. In fact, we really don't want it going over onto the gum tissue because basically what that can do is cause some gum resorption. It can cause some gum loss, especially if you're picking in the same area over and over again. So I don't really see any issues with the retainer that you got there. It looks like just a normal Essex retainer that was handmade by somebody in your dental office, which is totally normal, and a majority of dental offices actually do their retainer this way. Someone said they gave you whitening trays as retainers. No, they did not. Whitening trays are totally different. They're floppy and floopy, and they're made of a different material. These are just Essex material, so don't worry about that. Leah said, I would ask for a Holly retainer. That's the old school retainer with the acrylic and the wire. While those do work pretty well, I do have some problems with that. The metal crosses over the line. Actually, that's how I ground down my tooth, is I ground on that wire on my Holly, and they don't really fully 360 hold that tooth together. They only hold it from the front and back, so that tooth can go up and down. With an Essex retainer, you can also get the up and down solved as well there too. And there we go. We finally got some good stuff there. Essex retainers can come with a straight trim or a scallop trim. Either is fine, really. People just prefer the look of scallop. I actually don't even prefer the look of scallop. I mean, the scalloped I don't really like because it's kind of sharp, and then those edges can bend and break and crack a little bit easier than the straight. So I don't really have an issue at all. And then this Gazal chick says, get them redone. Your teeth will relapse. Look up Essex retainer online. This is an Essex retainer, and no, your teeth are not going to relapse. Your retainer is fine. Just make sure you wear it. As long as you do that, you will have straight teeth and you will be just fine. Now, if you have any cracks, or you chew through it or grind through it, just let your orthodontist know so they can make you a new one, okay? You're gonna be just fine. Congrats on getting your braces off. Your teeth look awesome. And thanks for shouting. We got a man shaving. I don't know why that's... Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, please tell me that doesn't have an actual razor on it. Genuinely, why? Why are you doing this? Now, this probably doesn't have a razor in it, but what if I told you brushing your teeth in certain ways could actually do as much damage as this to your gums without you even knowing about it? That's right. In fact, one of the #1 causes of gum damage and gum recession that we see on a daily basis is actually from brushing your teeth. But what the heck, Bentist? I thought you said I'm supposed to brush my teeth to get my gums good. Well, you are, but you're actually supposed to use a soft bristle brush, and you're supposed to lightly massage your gums. And unfortunately, unfortunately, we have a lot of those type A overachievers out there. You know the type A, you know the one I'm talking about. The ones trying to get straight A's, ripping pages out of books so you can't study it so they can get a better grade than you. Yeah, that person, that's the one I'm talking about. They brush their teeth really hard because they're trying to get the straight A's from their dentist somehow. And they actually brush way too hard. And if you're super hard and aggressive on your gum tissue, well, that gum will recede. And this is actually what it looks like to have recession from brushing your teeth. And it's really something we see a lot because, you know, it's really normally on your right side of your dominant hand side, and it definitely goes up. And you can even get, you know, like these little fractures in the side of your teeth from just wearing away the tooth, the root, and the gum by brushing really hard. Another thing we see in these people is if you look at their toothbrush, you pop that thing up, it will actually be super sprayed out and flayed out, you know, over to the side. And that really proves that they're brushing really hard. Your toothbrush should not look like that. And if it does, that means you're brushing way too hard. So just think light massaging circles on the gums, okay? We are not going in there trying to fight in Vietnam or anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a war on your gums, okay? This is a nice Swedish massage. Zach and Loka Mamar, I agree. You know, that's actually, I think if you looked at my face, that's probably what my face probably looked like there when I was watching that. So yeah, I don't think there's anything further to really talk about here other than don't do this. Please, as a professional, don't do this. All right, what do we got here? Okay, we got an x-ray and oh my goodness gracious, that is a large wisdom tooth. Okay, so the first thing I do as an orthodontist is I count the molars here and I see 1, 2, 3 in capital letters repeating because that is a big old monster wisdom tooth. So what you're actually looking at here is more than likely tooth gemination, okay? Now this is where your tooth bud actually splits and then kind of forms this one massive tooth here, and you can actually tell it's got 1, 2, 3 different roots there, and so it's probably this splitting and combination of a tooth there together. You can have this other way, it's called concrescence, and that, I believe that's the term. It's been a long time since I've been in dental school, but that's where you have 2 legit teeth and they just happen to like kind of seal together. This is like 1 tooth split in 2 combined. It's like a Frankenstein tooth. You can also have fusion where 2 join together, but then they wouldn't have a second molar here. It'd be like the second and third molar became 1. In this case, I got 1, 2 wisdom teeth, and then those 2 wisdom teeth came together to form this monstrosity. Oh my gosh, Anonymous says, full of wisdom. Yes. You're full of something, all right. And Sophie says, is this 2 molars or 1 massive one? Well, it's 2 massive 1 molars. 2 molar massive 1. 2 ones massive molaring 1. Presence of Kevin says, that's not a wisdom tooth, that's the tooth of truth. All the wisdom is in that tooth. And Olivia says, I can see all the earrings that were left in. My doctor would never let us live it. And fun fact, actually, if you look back at the x-ray, you can see this kind of wavy ghost image here of this white stuff here in the front. That's actually a ghost image of the earring that you can see in the far left. And that's actually the reason why we have you take out earrings during x-rays, is so we don't get extra crap over that we can't really tell what's going on. Because you see, it's a lot harder to see what's going on with the wisdom tooth up top because of those earrings. So if you're a dental professional, take out those earrings so we can actually see your x-ray. Either way, pretty cool. All right, poked my tooth abscess with a needle in hopes it relieves some pressure because the swelling is kind of blocking the airway of my nose and now it's purple. Oh my gosh, okay, so I gotta pause it here. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so the reason why it's purple is because he probably, you know, damaged himself and started bleeding a little bit there. That's not good. He needs to go to an ER or a dental professional ASAP, because I will tell you one thing. If you're having abscesses, which is basically, so let me get out the tooth models here. Which one's best here? Okay, so you can see how these roots are all infected here. Well, if it gets infected, it goes down. I don't know if you can see down inside there, but there's these 2 little balls here. That's the infection starting to form what's called an abscess. And as that abscess spreads, it has nowhere to go. So it starts to make its way and that infection goes out elsewhere. Now, normally it can blow up the side of a cheek and blow up other things, but if it's up here in the nose area, that is dangerous. This is called the cavernous sinus area, okay? And basically, I mean, you can, like some people call it the triangle of death. Yes, I know, that's crazy. It's a crazy term. But that's because if this infection gets up here and it goes into the cavernous sinus and goes into the brain, you get an infection in your brain and if he's already got so much swelling, it's literally blocking his airway and he's got to pop it to try and breathe. You need to go somewhere quick and get some antibiotics. And then what he's gonna need to do is he's gonna need to get a root canal in that tooth to get the infection stopped and get it out of there, and then some, you know, antibiotics to actually get it. So he says, guys, am I cooked? Yes. And you'll be, you know, if you don't get this fixed. So it's a really serious thing. And look at that. Someone says the triangle of death is called that for a reason. Go to the doctor. Yes, please go to something. And then Love Leon says dental care needs to be affordable and available for people. Yes. I totally agree, actually. I think it needs to get more affordable. We need to find a way to just solve oral disease completely. That's kind of my goal with something nice. That's kind of what we're doing. We're creating these new biotech ways of fighting, bacteria. It's really awesome. But there's gonna be so many more technologies that come around our new technologies. And hopefully we really solve oral disease in 3 to 5 years. And then you never have to ever get a cavity ever again, because it's just caused by one simple bacteria, Strep mutans. That's it. Ooh, and Thoughtful Wolf says something good here. It says, if you have no dental insurance, you can call a local dental school. They always need patients and it's often very low cost. Completely true. If you're in an area near a dental school, yes, go in and they can take care of you, especially if it's an emergency, and you can get it done at a pretty low cost, if not sometimes free if you have to. But this guy needs to get this checked ASAP. Does not need to be posting this stuff on TikTok. He needs to be going to an ER and getting some antibiotic stat and then going to see his dentist to get a root canal done.
What's up,
Ooh,
Jake?
little Yachty.
Or
What's up, Mr. Yachty?
I just want to give an update on my
Ooh,
teeth.
an update on his teeth?
They got done, about 4 procedures, and I want to show them off because they were pretty.
Let's see him.
All right.
Oh, snap. My God.
Got these diamonds implanted, and then some gold.
Dude, look at that go.
Just showing y'all my teeth.
Okay, Mr. Yachty, let's go ahead and give him a little comment here of what he got going on, because I got a bunch of people tagging me and said, did he ruin his teeth? Yada, 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 whatever. Okay, now, so there's a couple things. If he had perfectly fine teeth and they shaved them down to put crowns on, yes, technically he did damage his teeth, okay? Not my favorite thing to do. But if he already had dental restoration somewhere back there and he was getting crowns replaced, I think gold is actually a really smart decision because it's a better restoration than a zirconia crown or things like that. It's just, we didn't use it for a long time. 1, because of cost, because gold can get expensive. And then 2, because, well, looks, a lot of people wanted the white teeth to have a smile. Now I feel like gold is starting to come back. People are starting to use gold crowns again because they, it's like a sign like, I got gold in my mouth. It's also weirdly enough an investment vehicle for you as the price of gold goes up. And so people asked also about the diamonds and stuff too. Now, that being said, that could cause some more damage to the tooth because you're gonna have to probably make that crown prep deeper, so you're gonna have to shave more of the tooth away to fit that diamond in there. So the crown prep is probably a little more aggressive, but really this is basically just a crown with an inlaid diamond in it. It's just a really expensive crown, you know what I'm saying? So what do I think of little Yachty's things? I think they look really good. I actually like them a little more than just a basic gold crown. Unfortunately, I do wish he probably wouldn't have ruined some of his teeth. He did say that he didn't like the removables anymore because they always fell out and he lost them and things like that. I get it. So go into a permanent crown, as long as he got it done by a dental professional that made sure the margins were sealed, everything was good. I think it looks really good. It achieves what he was trying to do. Do I wish he would have not ruined healthy teeth? Yes, of course. But if he was going to do it anyways, he chose the right material in gold, and I think they look pretty good. You know what I'm saying? He achieved what he was trying to achieve. Max says, what's up, Yachty, or Boat? Yeah, what do we call him? Little Boat? What's up, Mr. Boat? And he says, all he came to do was flex. Yeah, he did. I mean, he did kind of flex on us, though. Those diamonds were very large, and they were in every single tooth. Not to mention the cost of gold. Getting a gold crown right now, you must be making money. Shay said, but your teeth were perfect. Yeah, he did have really good teeth, dang. I didn't even realize that. But at least I'm glad to see him happy, and hopefully we find a way to regrow tooth structure in the future. I don't know. But until then, I guess he's gonna have to live with those for the rest of his life. Braces don't hurt. I'm going through. Let's see what you're going through. Oh my gosh, little tad. That's actually a really good way to look at the tads there and how they work. Yeah. Now, luckily for you guys, okay, let's go through this. Okay, so what you're gonna see, I'm gonna pause it here. You can see from the side that your bone, it really does kind of look like that. It's got like air pockets and everything else in there. Now, some, depending on what you are, you can have denser bone or softer bone. And so what we're doing is we're putting the tad in. So it's literally an implant sideways in between your teeth. Now, fun fact, this doesn't actually hurt. It just feels like pressure. And in fact, we don't even numb up the area usually. We actually want to know if it starts to hurt, because if it does, that means we put it in the wrong spot and we're actually hitting the tooth instead of in between the tooth, because it's supposed to go in between. You see those spaces between the teeth roots? That's where it's actually supposed to go. It's supposed to go like between them. And if it goes onto the root, well then that's when we know, okay, you're gonna scream in pain, and then we're knowing we did the wrong thing. And then if you keep going here, you can actually see how it's used. So it's a temporary anchorage device, and you can put a spring or a rubber band or whatever to help pull and close spaces or move things around. You can even help move things up, move things down, do everything that you can't do with just traditional braces. You need some unit. You basically use your skull as a pulling point. It's pretty wild. Either way, don't worry about it because a majority of people do not get these with braces. Like 99% of people don't get these with braces. So don't worry about it like you're gonna be getting it because you're probably not. Crimson says no because pulling on my teeth with braces or something got that good pain. Oh, okay, you weird. You weird. Although I did the same thing when I had braces, even though there weren't. You like sometimes you just press on it and just feel the pain. You know, sometimes you just want to feel something. I like those two comments right back. So Tina says, they will do this. And then Sigma was like, they don't do this. Yes, they're right. They don't do this. Unless they do this, you know, for your specific things. Now, don't be worried. Like I said, if they do it, it's for a good reason. It's probably going to save you from having to get a jaw surgery. You're going to get a lot of good things done. So don't worry about it too much. It'll be just fine. Bro, oh my goodness gracious. The temporalis on that man. Bro, is he bald to show off his temporalis, or did his temporalis make him bald? Dude, that is like an alien, man. So if you guys don't know, you use different muscles to chew, to close your mouth, because this jaw is just hanging off your skull, and you use different muscles from your masseter all the way up, and sometimes you can be super temporalis heavy. In fact, if you have a lot of TMJ issues and stuff, when you're chewing using your temporalis, sometimes you can feel that blood fill up and get super tight up here when you have TMJ problems, and then it just feels like your jaw can't go anywhere because you're just muscled up. So this guy, his chewing function is almost all temporalis. That's actually crazy. I've never seen a temporalis that large before. I'm assuming this man has TMJ problems because holy moly. Type said, holy temporalis. Yeah, that's what I think I literally might have said that whenever that came out. The Discord picture? Oh man, dude, you guys are ruthless in these comment sections these days. Ever since they added pictures and stuff to this, you guys have been going crazy. Oh my God, just missing that antenna, bro. Bro really does kind of look like the Reddit alien. Okay, I'm done making fun of this guy because we shouldn't be making fun of this guy. Maybe there's a good thing of having a giant temporalis. I can't think of it yet, but you know, if he gets punched in the side of the head, he's probably protected from a traumatic brain injury. You know what he actually, I just realized he could go get some Botox from his dentist. We do this in overactive masseters and things for TMJ. He could literally just get Botox in both of his temporalis muscles. I don't know if that would cause any, like maybe that would make him stop being able to open his mouth. Close his mouth, I don't know, but you could do some temporary Botox in there, like a little bit, just a little bit, and then that would probably help it go way down in muscularity. But I don't know if he wants that. Maybe this is his thing. Maybe this is his party trick. I don't know. All right, holy mama moly, look at that. That is a big time right there. Oh my gosh. So you guys tagged me a bunch in this, said a couple things. First off was like, what is this man's gum brain doing hanging out in his mouth? A lot of people asked, hey, is this what it looks like inside a tooth? And the answer to that answer is it's gum tissue, and no, that is not normal. In fact, what happens is you normally have a broken down tooth. Like you can see there, that tooth is kind of broken out and decayed in like a shell of its former self. We actually see this a lot in baby tooth because they kind of hollow out on the inside as well. And guess what? Gum tissue is like a living, growing being. It's like a weed, you know, where there's like inflammation, nastiness. The gums will actually grow into that area. That's why you see gum overgrowth in people who like get in braces and they don't brush their teeth and kind of gets nasty and the gum overgrows, stuff like that. So the gum will actually grow into areas that aren't cleaned very well. And so obviously there's a lot of decay and nastiness in this tooth. So basically that gum just grew up like a clam into its own new home. You know, like one of those like conches where they all like grow up into a new shell. It was like a sea conch. It was gums living in a tooth home. You know, they just grew up, got bigger, and so whenever they popped and broke off that tooth structure, which probably what happened, they broke off half the tooth, now you've got these little gum pods of where it formed on the inside of the tooth. And that's the same thing we see in the baby teeth. You'll actually pull the baby tooth off sometimes and there'll just be like a lump of gum tissue there. And then the mom is like, what is that tumor in my kid's mouth? And you know, I have to reassure them, no, that's just gum tissue, it will go away. And it does. It actually kind of goes down. Now, sometimes if it's really nasty, you can just laser it and cut it off. But for the most part, it does tend to just kind of recede and go back on its own once you can clean it and get it out of there. Either way, really crazy looking. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking through these comments and they're all in a different language, so I don't have anything for you on the comment side today. All I can say is to avoid this, you know, brush, floss your teeth. You'll watch my videos, you know, little subtle plug there, hit that follow button. And you probably won't have this happen to you, but if you are a kid or you're a mother and your kid does have a baby tooth and you're seeing this pink tooth form, it actually forms like a pink tooth. It looks like a pink tooth. That's just the gum tissue underneath and maybe a little bit of blood coming in there. You're gonna be just fine. All right, in. What are you guys tagging? My bro is like that old Nickelodeon cartoon show, The Angry Beavers. Oh my gosh, he's like really doing that. What is the reason? What is the reason? You know, my guess is there is some, I don't know. You know, I'm not a tree expert. I wish tree expert was in here, but I do know that, you know, normally sometimes you can take the bark off a tree and underneath you can get the sap or sweet stuff or whatever. I don't know. Maybe something medicinal, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that your teeth are not tools. That's right, Justin Bieber over here. That's right, Justin Bieber, that's a good one. Oh my gosh. Anyways, your teeth are not tools, okay? If you do this to trees on a daily basis, you will grind them down and will completely, probably wreck them eventually over time. In fact, interestingly enough, when you're born, you have these things called mamelons. There's these little squiggly bits on the bottom of your teeth, and you do grind them off just naturally over time, and that's why our teeth are straight. But if you notice someone with like a big open bite or an override or something like this, and they never touch, well, they still have those mamelons. This guy definitely doesn't have his mamelons. Me when the palm of my hands get itchy. That is, dude, that actually is something. I have done that before. That's crazy. I know you guys have done that too. Oh, dang, Craig says, oh, that's Justin Bieber. I thought I was being smart. Dang. Maybe I should have donated more than 39 cents to that late night commercial. Guys, these comment sections are just getting crazy these days. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I have to worry about you guys gnawing into trees, but don't do that. All right, when you ask for a gold crown instead of that boring porcelain, okay, hey, get it, hey. You know, I actually have no issue with this at all. It's funny because, you know, there was this big thing to go away from gold crowns to the tooth-colored crowns for aesthetics, you know. People didn't want the gold teeth anymore. That being said, there is still a lot of people that still ask for gold teeth throughout this entire time. Fun fact, I personally think that gold teeth are the best. Literally, one of the best restorations you can physically get in your mouth is gold. I mean, they last a ton, they seal really well, they look really cool. I mean, they don't crack and break like a porcelain or a zirconia or anything like that. I really like gold crowns. It's just the only reason we got rid of them was solely because of aesthetics. That was it, and probably cost, because now it probably costs way, I mean, that's like a $10,000 crown these days. Jesus, why did gold go up so high? But yeah, if you're rich enough now to get a gold crown, I would say get a gold crown over zirconia, because why not? I think it lasts better and you get to go bling bling on it. See, look at this. Walking in Memphis says, as a dentist, this is actually a superior restorative material, which I agree. And Amanda says, my daughter wanted silver caps. It looks so badass. I wanted too. You know, I think it's a good look. Then we got Caleb Kane down here, says he's got a gold crown on his baby tooth on the front. Look at that. Now that's probably not the smartest, you know, because baby tooth will fall out and then you're gonna just, well, you're gonna have a gold tooth. You know, I bet you guys didn't know this, but you can take gold crowns from teeth and stuff, and you can actually melt that down and get the restorative metal cost for it. And if you didn't know, dental gold is not pure gold. Pure gold's too soft. So actually dental gold is not worth as much as like the gold you would buy from a pawn shop, but still, regardless. And then we got two scared debt collectors would repo my tooth. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. Pay your bills or else they're gonna just rip your tooth out. They're gonna have that one Samoan guy rip your tooth out. You remember that guy? Yeah, that's crazy. Either way, I like gold crowns.
He owes me $100,000. I said he could keep the $100,000 if he just takes 5 laxatives. So what do you say, Steve? No? Rather pay the $100,000? 5 laxatives for $100K?
Okay, first off, who's taking laxatives for $100,000? But I think I understand why you guys tag me in this, and I think it has to do with Mr. 6'9" over here. Now, as you guys can see from Mr. 6'9's teeth here, is they look just different. Something is just a little different. That's why you guys keep tagging me in this all the time. You know, I was like, I thought it was laxatives at first. I was like, what do I gotta do with laxative? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's the chompers. And so the reason why they look off is because I don't know if these are veneers. I don't think they're actually veneers. I think they're composite veneers, which is basically like a buildup on top of the tooth. And there's a couple things that stand out that make me believe that. So one, if you look at the teeth, they're just unnaturally white. They're like thick white, like a toilet bowl seat, versus like your natural teeth or porcelain is very like see-through. It's got some light refraction bouncing off of it. And this is just like, boom, one color, one shade, white, no translucency, no optics to it. And so that tells me it's probably some type of composite, which if you don't know is a way that you do no prep veneers. Basically you put on the glue and then you pop it in, you shape it, and then you cure it. The other thing is it just looks really bulky to me, really bulky, kind of holding everything out there. And the reason that is because, well, you don't shave down the tooth like a normal veneer. So when you shave down the tooth of a normal veneer, it replaces the tooth structure that you just removed, making it the same kind of shape as your natural tooth. But when you do a composite veneer, you actually build that up over the top of the tooth, making your tooth that is this thick, it becomes thicker. And when it gets a thicker tooth, well, it just looks thicker. And then at some point it looks unnaturally thick. And I think that's kind of what we got going on here with Mr. 6'9". Now, if these are composite veneers, what he would need to do is just get them removed and get somebody who's really good at doing doing composite veneers and get those done there, because there are some really good people that are really good at doing the shade matching and then the different translucencies, and they can make it look really real. There's also 3D printed, veneers that can go on the top that look really good too. And he could also get traditional veneers, or he could even get braces and a little bit of enamelloplasty. But either way, all of those will make it look better than that kind of thick, white, bulky composite crown that you see here. Oh my gosh, you got people clowning him in the comments with the, oh man, the caveman guy, really guys? Now, one thing I would say is not fair to make fun of people for their teeth, because it's probably aesthetically driven and he thinks a certain way about his teeth. He's conscious about it and he's trying to get that over, and making fun of him is not very nice. But I would say give him some, I think he could look better for sure if he would take them off and get them done properly somewhere. More than likely he got these done somewhere, I don't know, but whoever did it, not my favorite look in the world. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Okay, what do we got here? God dang, fireworks going everywhere. And you can see all the way back there, can't you? So obviously you guys are probably tagging me in this for one reason and one reason only, and that is, you can really see up in there. And funny thing is a dentist, we can really tell a lot about your mouth just by that. So I mean, look at when we're all the way wide open there, what do we see? So a couple things we can see is she's got crowding here in the front. It looks like she's also missing a tooth in the back. But one of the major things that we can tell is about your arch form. Now, when I say dental arch, I actually mean, you see how this shape is here. And you can have a couple different variations of this if you just look up and look in a mirror. Now, she actually has a fairly good rounded arch, even with the crowding and everything. That means that her tongue can fit pretty well and everything's looking pretty good. Now, you can have two other versions too. One is a narrow or a V-shaped arch. These people have a very narrow arch there, and this just means that we just didn't get quite the development of that upper arch that we want, which probably is gonna lend to tongue not getting in where it needs to, airspace problems, things like that. Another one we can have is somebody who's like almost overdone it a little bit, and they have a square arch, which is like this. And that's due to a couple things. A lot of times it's because of a lot of pressure here on the front, and it kind of flattens up the front teeth, kind of creating this square look. It's when you have really tight lips and everything like that, that can really kind of drag things back into that square arch formation. But we want you to get this kind of rounded kind of little arch there. And she actually has a pretty good one, even though she's got a little bit of crowding and a missing tooth. I mean, you can learn so much just from a crazy video of some lady yelling at a concert. And actually, I have no idea what she's saying or what concert she's at, but it looks like she's having fun. Yeah, that's exactly what she looks like with the ha ha ha. That's kind of crazy. Oh my gosh, they got freaking plankton down there. That's funny. Seriously though, she really was getting after it, man. Some people really love concerts, I guess. Wow. Alrighty. Ooh, that is actually a real tooth, funny enough. Yeah, what you're seeing there is all that cavitation, that nastiness. Really cleaning it up, getting a rubber dam on there. It looks like we're doing a root canal. So we actually do want to clean out the roots, the inside the roots there, and that's what those little drills are slowly doing, is shaping the canal and making it nice and smooth. And that's because when you put the gutta percha and things in there, you really want it to fit really nicely. So you can see him sliding in those to fit them so they're nice and snug. And then from there, what you normally do is you heat it, and that's what he's doing right there with a little heater to heat that glue and push it down in there. And now he's putting some fiber post, it looks like, because there's so much of the tooth gone, you need something strength there in the middle. And then he's putting composite on there. He's building it down now into a crown prep. So he's drilling that down into a crown prep now to put a crown on top, doing a little impression there. And then now he's going to be seating the crown here, and there it is. Popping that bad boy on, and oh my gosh, that's actually really good. I mean, look at that before and after. I mean, you really look at it. That thing is decayed like crazy. I mean, look, it's black, it's nasty, and that's kind of what happens to dentin as it gets eaten by that bacteria Strep mutans. Fun fact, the bacteria Strep mutans is the only thing that causes cavities, and it's just going in there and eating away. It's almost like you have termites in your mouth and your teeth are made of wood. And so it's just going in there and just eating, and that's what it looks like when it's all decayed and nasty, is this kind of, we call it caseous or cheese-like substance. It's kind of crazy. And then you can see the ending there, and it's crazy because it looks just like a real tooth again. And I think people are underappreciating dentists because it is basically an art form. We are sculptors in our own way, and we do a lot of art every day in the dental chairs. And even orthodontists, you know, I specialize into orthodontics now, and it's an art form to get everybody's teeth straight and getting it perfect and parallel and smile arcs and all that type of stuff. It's really cool. So if you're artistic and you love health, then maybe dentistry is a better way of doing things than, you know, medicine. So, I mean, I really like dentistry a lot. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Glossy says there must be a better way. Well, you know, hopefully in the future with all this biotech stuff coming out, we can solve oral disease completely and you'll never have to get a root canal. But until then, you know, this is kind of the best we got. We might be able to get some little nano robots working there eventually. Maybe 3D printing is gonna get so good that we could just 3D print stuff really well. But yeah, I mean, it's just the sky's the limit now with all the AI stuff. We're gonna see technology go so fast here. But either way, super cool and really cool for you guys to see it and appreciate what a dentist does on a daily basis. RIP to my best party trick. Oh my goodness, great. She's getting the whole dang finger through there. Well, that is wild. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, first off, holy moly, pause it right there. You see that finger just going right through, and that is a party trick indeed. So obviously, you know, this girl has probably been through some stuff. She looks really young, okay? She's missing multiple teeth on both sides. And if you really look here in the front, you can see this little dark patch between these two front teeth and over here. Those are all cavities. That's actually cavities between the teeth that have gotten so big and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, they turn black and you can really see them there. Now, I'm looking at the caption here. It says, crazy to think I can't do this anymore. Dental, hashtag implants. So my guess is she got a lot of these teeth removed, fixed, and implants in and fixed all this, but this is where she was before her little party trick. Now, why does this happen? Well, there's a lot of reasons why this could happen. Two of the main reasons are just dental neglect, which is normally due to when you grow up, your parents just don't teach you how to brush your teeth. And so you don't brush your teeth, you don't get in the good habits of that, and guess what? You end up losing your teeth over time, and that's how someone this young can actually lose teeth. And another one is obviously different recreational drugs and things like that can cause a lot of teeth loss and, you know, bad stuff like that. Not saying she did that at all, but that is another main way that we can see whenever younger people lose a lot of teeth, that tends to be what it is. It's either drugs or it's just dental neglect from childhood. But either way, it looks like she got it fixed up and she's back on track, which is the number one thing for these people is like, you're gonna live the rest of your life. You're super young. And so if you need to get into a dentist now, just get whatever you can fixed, done, taken care of, and then especially get implants in those missing teeth areas so that bone doesn't dissolve over time. And you know, set yourself up for a good rest of your life. We are working on some crazy things. I mean, in Japan, they're like regrowing tooth buds and all this crazy biotech stuff. So we very well might be able to find a way in the future to regrow all of these teeth back. But until then, you know, we gotta take care of what we got. My party trick was sticking my lip behind my two front teeth and talking like Bugs Bunny. What's up, Doc? Is that, wait, did I do it right? Peter says, go in to brush my teeth now. And yes, I mean, I think that's one thing we could all learn from it is just, you know, brush and floss the teeth that you want to keep forever, or else you're gonna. All right, 100% real braces magic process. Oh my gosh, it's another one of those AI videos, isn't it? That is a closing loop. That is a real thing. But no, it does not work. So, oh my gosh, let's just watch this through. Okay, so we're moving that canine over, dragging it in, pulling it in. Okay, tooth comes up, okay. I'm pulling it with the chain over here, okay. So let's go back and go over here. So the first thing that I see, they're removing that tooth. This closing loop is supposed to be bringing that canine back. If you don't know, this is what's called a transposition. This is where you actually have the tooth in the wrong spot. Now, the way that they're doing this is showing that this canine is just gonna magically flip over this entire tooth and flip it. That's not possible. You can't physically do that. In fact, a lot of the times you lose one of these teeth, or you do what's called a transposition, where you move the canine into where that lateral is and you just leave the, you know, basically the lateral in the canine spot. Sometimes you can get it built up to make it look more like a canine and all those different things. But if you try and move these over each other like that, well, you're gonna end up actually ruining this lateral root and dissolving it a lot of the times, and then it ends up falling out. So yeah, that's not necessarily something that happens. But we'll just pretend that that's okay. You can see there's a little spring on that wire that opens up the space. That is something that we do. We do have a little piggyback wire that goes up and over. That is something that can actually happen. And then that last thing that you see there up in the corner with the little rubber band there is what we call a TAD. Now, it's a temporary anchorage device. And sometimes we can use that to pull back teeth, just not in this similar scenario. So even though these look like it's doing something we could be doing, it's definitely not correct. Alex said the pain will be insane. And yes, if you're doing it like this, you're definitely gonna have some pretty crazy pain for sure. Slime says, how the F did I get here? And yet I wonder the same thing sometimes. Either way, don't worry. This is not gonna happen to you. This is weird AI stuff. Trust me, it's a lot simpler, a lot easier to get you that Hollywood smile you want. All right, braces fit check. Well, you don't see any braces on there. Oh, that's because they're on the inside. Look at that. That's pretty cool stuff. Now, these are what we call lingual braces. I can actually pause it on there so you can see it. And so obviously you guys know the typical versions that we have. Braces on the outside, and then you have invisible aligners like Invisalign. Now, these are called lingual braces, and these are actually, lingual means tongue on in that side. So it's on the side of the tooth that the tongue is on, which is on basically the inside. And so you put these brackets on there, and they use these special wires that are kind of like this to go in there, and it does work. There's a whole different biomechanical process to do this. You have to get a special kind of continuing education to really learn how to utilize these and do these well. But there are some people that are professionals at this that do it really well. You know, I personally have never been trained in lingual braces, and we don't offer that. A lot of dentists don't offer it. What I noticed was that early on there was a lot of people that were doing this, and it was getting a lot of tongue ripping. You know, your tongue is touching back there all the time. So imagine stuff on your tongue every day, all the time. So that was my big worry about this. But there are newer ones that are a little bit slimmer now that don't, you know, hurt the tongue as much. To be honest though, nobody really cares if you got braces. You've got invisible aligners for the invisible version, which work just as well as probably these lingual braces do. So it's never been something that I decided I wanted to do. But for someone who wants braces and doesn't want to see the braces, then I think it's a pretty good idea, I guess. Just make sure you find someone specialized in it. Says it looks 10 times more painful, and it's not necessarily more painful, although I do hear that there are a big, you know, there's a learning curve at the beginning for your tongue to get used to it, so you could get cuts, sores, canker sores all over your tongue. So it's pretty miserable for some people for sure. And just like Birdie said, the tongue is about to be shredded. Yes, it is. But the tongue will toughen up over time, and then you'll get used to it. And then Pixie says, that looks so hard to clean. And actually, I didn't ever think about that. It would be fairly tough to clean. You know, maybe use a water flosser back there or something like that. I don't know. Would you get lingual braces, or would you just stick with the regular braces? All right, we got, it looks like a hydraulic press channel versus a real tooth. Now, teeth are very compressive strength-wise. So let's see, 50 kg, 90 kg, 120 kg, dang, 125 kg. Oh my gosh, this is going very high. We're like, oh, it broke right there. He's going for it again. Dang, all the way up to 335 kilograms of force, and that thing is still not shattering. 400, 500, 600. Oh, and there he goes. Ooh, so 600 kilograms of force. Now, because most of us are American here, I looked that up. So 600 kilograms of force is over 1,300 pounds of force. So imagine putting 1,300 of centralized force directly on your tooth. That's pretty insane. That's what it causes it to crack. And actually, that's pretty wild when you really think about it, how tough your teeth really are. Now, the really crazy part is during the day, you physically can't squeeze that hard. If you try and squeeze really hard like that, your body will physically stop you with pain responses and stuff like that. But at night, guess what? Those clenching and grinders out there, you know who you are? Well, you're completely, your body's physiology does not stop you from squeezing as hard as you want at that time. So you can really squeeze hard, you can grind enough to wear your teeth down hardcore and even crack and break your teeth over time, just like this hydraulic press did. And if your teeth are weak enough, they might even shatter just like that did. Either way, I don't want this to happen to my teeth ever, please. Rusty says, my tooth is aching after watching this. Yes, agreed. That would be very painful. Eugene says, and here I am, I chipped my tooth on a fork. Yeah, see, this is perfect compression strength downward. You can still just bang stuff and chip stuff for sure. Either way, I hope that we're never in the situation that my teeth are in a hydraulic press, like some new saw technique or something like that. Yeah, that better not be in the new movies. 4-year-old braces face. Dang, 4-year-olds getting braces is kind of a big deal. Oh my gosh, he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Wait a second. This is not in a dental office. Is that in somebody's like living room? They have a freaking ring light on the back there. It got some like hair stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure this mom is just putting braces directly on her little kid's teeth. That's not good. Oh, okay. So I was gonna say down in the bottom, she says we took them off the same day. My daughter loved them. So hopefully she's not doing this to other people. It looks like she put them on and took them off same day. Maybe it was for a costume or something. I don't know. Either way, don't do this. The crazy part is this is really happening. We call it, it's like basement braces or whatever, where you're just going into random places and putting braces on. You would definitely not be doing this on a 4-year-old, one, because they basically only have baby teeth. They don't even have permanent teeth to move at that point. Now, sometimes we do baby teeth, what's called phase 1 therapy. So they're an underbite, all right, little kid. That's normally around 9 years old, like 7 at the earliest, not 4. We would never put braces on a 4-year-old pretty much. It's really just that 9 years old for phase 1, and then phase 2 would be that 12 to 14 years old. But had me scared there for a second. I thought we were running some type of operation on little kids. Oh my gosh, and Desi says, not you to taking her to buy braces by Brianna. That's all I was gonna say. I was like, God, I hope that's not a thing there. And then Cece says, you put power chains on first. That's a big call out there. You would definitely not put power chains on an early wire right out of the gate. It would just completely collapse and screw all your teeth up really bad. So maybe don't go to a random person to get your braces on. All right. For months, I thought I looked stupid. Okay, so it looks like we're doing a little premolar journey here, a little premolar extraction journey. So as you can see, she's getting some good movement there for sure. All right, so now I want to pause it there at the very beginning where she has her face turned sideways here. You can see she's got some poof out there. We call that bimax protrusion. We got stuff is sticking out. And in this one case, I'm going to do the opposite of what I usually do. Usually I am against taking teeth out. And even in this case, there is definitely a case to be made that you could have done this without taking teeth out. But that being said, there are some people that need to get teeth out. If you have trouble closing your lips and you can't keep them closed because your teeth are so flared out and so out there, you have what's called protrusion, right? And so obviously that's not good. If you can't close your lips, everything is too far out. We do need to retract back and get you back into a good profile. And so taking out 4 teeth here, or taking out 2 teeth in her case, it looks like they only took out the upper 2 teeth. She was so far out this way, and they can bring it back, is really gonna change her profile for the better. And so if you look at it here at the beginning, we definitely see we're really stuck out there. She really can't close her lips, you can say. And then by the end, let's see where she's at. So turn to the side there and look how much her profile has changed. Now, if you're way stuck out here and we pull it back, that ends up normal, looks really good. If you have a normal profile and they're taking teeth out on you, which is happening all the time, unfortunately, well, then you're gonna go back and you're gonna look like an old lady, and that is what we really want to avoid. But that being said, we do still take teeth out on people. It's just very rare. If they have way out here and they can't close their lips and there's nowhere to go, then yes, maybe taking teeth out makes sense. If they're hyper crowded, more than you could ever imagine, even then still I'll probably unravel everything. We'll see how far out it is and then potentially take teeth out. But still, it's a very select group of people that should be getting their teeth out. Not very many people at all. But in this case, you can tell it brought everything back and made her profile look really good, and she ended up with a good result here. M says, it's so cool how braces literally change the whole view of your face. I bet you have confidence, right? She recommends everybody getting them as soon as possible. I also recommend you guys getting braces. I mean, it's awesome to have awesome Hollywood straight teeth. And yes, you can tell that her face and stuff did change for the better in this case. And then Ariana says, hi, did you only extract 2 teeth during your braces treatment? Your results look amazing. And in that case, yes, they did. Now this happens when you have a class 2, big override like this. If everything in the back is looking good, you can just take 2 teeth out and just bring everything back that way. And it will work and get you into a really good position without having to take out too many teeth. Still, really good result, and congrats on your new Hollywood smile. I think the dentist hit a nerve in my eye. What do you mean? Oh my gosh. You guys see that, right? One of his pupils is way bigger than the other. Oh my gosh, those saxophones are definitely indeed lingering and getting louder in the background. So yeah, when it's not good, no, but for real though, this is not a normal thing at all. So there is this thing, I believe it's called like anisocoria or something. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've looked at this stuff, where you can just naturally have uneven pupils. But if your pupils were normal and then all of a sudden this happened, that can be concerning, okay? That's not a good sign. More than likely they hit the oculomotor nerve or something in, if it's up here and you're hitting it, there's a lot of nerves around. In fact, we've had some where, droopiness and, the whole side of your facial nerve gets numbed, things like that. I've never really seen an oculomotor nerve get hit like this, but that could be something. Another issue is it could be something really severe. Normally if I would see this, I would say go to an ER ASAP and just have them check and make sure everything is okay, because this could be a sign of a stroke or an aneurysm or something way worse, so you want to rule those things out. It can also happen from some different medications, but if it just happened right after a dental office, it probably was just a oculomotor nerve hit. I believe it would be the oculomotor nerve, but I'm not 100% sure there. Definitely go to an ER and get that checked out, because that's kind of scary. And no, it is not normal and not something, I have never seen it before. I've seen the droopy face, you know, the paralyzed face, facial nerve thing. It normally just comes back. And hopefully that's the case for him, but I would definitely go get it checked out. Yeah, and so there we go. Cinema said, baby, that's anisocoria. And that would be only if it was there all the time. If it just happens out of nowhere, that's not okay. I'm gonna keep scrolling, hope you're okay. Yeah, no, I hope you're okay too. Oh my gosh, and he said, update coming. I can barely see the phone at the moment. Everything is still blurry, but it is improving. Okay, that is telling me that normally it's probably just the anesthetic that hit that nerve, and it probably, if it's improving, it's probably fine. Actually, last one, this one says, I'm a dental hygienist. Please get to your nearest emergency room ASAP. Now back to the dentist who did this. Make sure you have a report printed with your own physical copy and make sure that's noted properly. She's getting ready for a lawsuit. Normally these things wouldn't occur into a lawsuit. Like I said, it's probably just gonna go back to normal. Keyword probably. Oh my goodness, what is going on with the back of her throat? Well, I'll tell you, because you know I'm an orthodontist and a dentist and I know exactly what's going on. This girl got a tonsillectomy. That's right. And fun fact, back in the day, people used to get tonsils out almost all the time. Like your father, your mother, and their grandfather or grandmother, you know, it was like normal. It's like you were born, it's like, tonsil adenoid, pop them out, get them out of there. And then we said, oh, we probably shouldn't do that. Those are like lymph nodes that are like doing something in our body, you know, getting the toxins out of our body. We should probably not do that. And so now it's actually really hard to get a tonsillectomy, actually. You have to have a lot of problems to be able to get your tonsils out these days. But if you do get them out, they will look just like that. You know, basically where you have this giant crater there, it's just because they laser them out, like they cut them out and then they can cauterize and everything. But the problem is it can actually be pretty dangerous because you form these big giant scabs in the back there, and your whole entire back of your throat is basically covered in these giant scabs. And fun fact, if you do something too aggressive back there and they break, you can actually bleed out. That's right. You can, and it could be a really serious thing. So basically, we don't do this very often anymore. Another big reason is because we used to think you can get it out because your tonsils will actually swell as you get, you know, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then, but fun fact, they shrink after that. So as you get older, they will actually get smaller and become less of a problem as you age. But I do hear that they are one of the most painful, excruciating experiences, mainly the recovery, because you're just like, you can't swallow, you can't eat, can't do anything. You're like, I can't move for a while there as you know, it cleans up. But I don't know, you guys let me know. I've never had tonsillectomy, but you probably have in the comments. You can tell me about it. Lydia said, I had kissing tonsils. Ow, that's insane. I think that's like literally where they're so large, they touch each other in the middle. They can block off your airway and then you can't breathe and you die. I'm just kidding, you don't die. But you can get them removed so you can actually breathe. Oh my gosh, me realizing I had a tonsillectomy, I'm telling you, I don't think I have ever seen somebody that had a tonsillectomy that did not tell me it was one of the worst experiences of their lives. And I Love Coffee says, I had a tonsillectomy 20 years ago because I had the worst tonsillitis. And that's true, that is one of the big things. It's like you have to get tonsillitis like every 6 months or within 3 times in 1 year or something like that. They have their things you need to do for an ENT to even approve you to get them out. But you know, maybe just rinse your mouth out with warm salt water or something and instead of having to just get them out completely, you know, that could work. And then remember, they do shrink as you get older and they become less and less of a problem. I should know because I thought I wanted them out and then I didn't, and now I'm older and they're smaller and they're not even that big of a deal. Reminder to wear your rubber bands, guys. What do you mean? I hate this. Oh, you got the springs. Okay, so everybody, we'll go ahead and look here when we block it in, when we pause it. Boom, there we go, we see it. That is a spring. Now, I think this one's particularly called a TP spring. I can't remember the exact brand of it, but there's multiple different springs you can have. But basically, this one screws onto the wire here and down here, and it's basically a metal rubber band that you can't take off. Now, if you didn't know, the purpose of our rubber bands is to actually move the jaws. You under right, all that, moving these things left and right. And they only work if you have that force happening over a long period of time. And that means if you're not wearing rubber bands, we're not getting the force over time and we're not gonna get the movement that we want. So in some cases, if you do it for long enough, we just say, hey, we're just gonna leave it off. And that just is what it is. And you're gonna have to get it redone when you're older. And some people, we decide to go ahead and go into springs. And even though these are pretty much a torture device and way worse than having the actual rubber bands, well, you weren't mature enough to wear your rubber bands. So we had to take action into our own hands. Because we can straighten things up, we can fix bites, we can do everything else except for wear the rubber bands for you. So we slap on the springs and then 3 months later, basically your bite is fixed and we get done all the work that you could have just done by wearing rubber bands. Seeing this without my bands on right now. Exactly. I know you guys are forgetting. And someone else said, remind me every time. And I get it. It's hard. And actually a little pro tip for you, whenever I was in school, I would take them off and then put them on my pencil or put them around my pinky finger if you can, if it doesn't cut off your circulation. That way, after I was done eating or I was back in class, I would see that rubber band on my pencil. I'd be like, oh crap, I gotta put rubber bands back on. And then I would put rubber bands back on. A nice little pro tip for my braces users out there. She said, gee, I will. And yeah, I get it. I mean, trust me, you just wanna wear rubber bands, fix it in a couple months and not get the springs. It's a big mess and you could just avoid it by, you know, wearing your rubber bands. All right, do not get those.
I'm gonna show you guys how to take off your bite blocks out. This is my first time doing it. I've never done it because I just got them. But I'm gonna, if there's a will this way because I'm not doing this.
Oh, she's got the bite blocks.
I don't know what to do.
Okay, we are how old here, Missy? I know you are way too old to be crashing out over some bite blocks on your mouth. And trust me, the ones in the back are way better than the ones in the front because at least you can eat with the ones in the back. But for real though, actually it's kind of funny because weirdly enough, the adults or the older people are some of the worst patients versus the kids. Kids, you put bite blocks on them, you give them rubber bands, you give them springs, you do all this crazy stuff, expander in their mouth, everything, and they're just like, you know, but they deal with it and they figure it out and they don't really complain that much actually. In fact, the adults are the ones that have mental breakdowns like this, crashing out because you put a little bit of glue on the back of their teeth to stop them from biting down onto something. And so if you didn't know, these things are bite blocks. They're things that go on either the back of the front teeth or the back of the back teeth, basically to lift your bite up, to move your bite in different ways. And also another thing is like if you're biting down on your brackets and you're just gonna hit them and you're gonna break them off, well, we need to get them out of the way so your braces can actually do what they're supposed to do. Now, normally you're gonna get them on the back of your front teeth. That's to help fix a deep bite, but sometimes you put them on the back teeth if you have like a really open bite and you're trying to deepen it a little bit, or if you have just too much of an overbite to get them down there. Girl, you are so dramatic. Exactly. I mean, they're bite, like they're not even the bad bite blocks. These are like not even like that big of a deal at all. She's making it seem like it is the end of the world. And then she's like, girl, I had braces for 3 years. Take a painkiller and sleep. You know, maybe she just needs a Snickers. You know, she's not herself when she's hungry. And then she said, it's not that serious. You're right, it's not that serious. These are actually a pretty chill and not really that big of a deal at all. And they are right. Over time, your teeth will come together closer and closer. So every day it will be easier and easier on you. And a lot of those ones in the back, you grind away before you even have to get them off anyway. So it's really not that big a deal.
Bottle beauty hacks. This one is for whitening your teeth. Basically what I learned when I got my braces off when I was a teenager, my dentist told me this. Every time you bleach them, it opens the pores. So you want to bleach your teeth again while the pores are open.
She's actually not wrong. Your teeth is actually kind of like a sponge. There's all these tiny little holes. We call them enamel and dental tubules. They're basically little tubules that go inside the teeth into the dentin, into the actual nerve area, and they help the body connect from the outside to the inside of your teeth. And she is very right. When you whiten, that hydrogen peroxide actually dissolves the organic matter that fills in those holes, which is kind of like the stuff you eat all day long and just random minerals and stuff from your saliva pack in those holes. And when you use whitening, well, it dissolves it also. It can get inside your teeth and actually whiten, and so they are open. And that's actually what causes sensitivity as well, is because now you've got that air flow that can go directly into the nerve because all your tubes are closed. So let's see what she was saying.
People tell me I have super white teeth very often and ask me how I bleached my teeth, and I'm like, I haven't done it in years, but what I did way back when was just you bleach them consistently, like short, close together periods of time. Bleach your teeth, and then 2 days later, bleach them again. And then 2 days later, bleach them again. And I just use like Crest whitening strips. I think any teeth whitening strips work. Your teeth will low-key be like super sensitive, but that's the trick. It works.
So there you go. And I don't actually think that's a bad idea at all. In fact, I totally agree with her. I think just kind of getting it over with and doing it consistently for a while, and it doesn't matter what whitening strip you use, as long as there's hydrogen peroxide in it, it's going to work, whether it's gel or strip or whatever it is. It just has to be hydrogen peroxide. And yes, if you are doing it consistently, yes, you don't have to dissolve those holes, and so it's easier for it to go in. But although you do get a little increased sensitivity doing that, but either way, it's not that big of a deal. So honestly, not a bad idea. Doesn't whitening damage your enamel though? And actually, that's fun fact, that's a lie. That's a lie that I don't know where that came from, but actually no, whitening with hydrogen peroxide does not damage your enamel at all. In fact, the thing that does damage your enamel is trying to use those whitening toothpastes that are highly abrasive, like a charcoal toothpaste or something like that, actually does rip off your teeth, which is totally funny. For how long do your teeth stay sensitive? And that's actually a pretty good thing, because the same reason why you whiten by unplugging those holes, that's what's causing the sensitivity. So the time it takes to get unsensitive is just how long it takes for those organic plugs to fill back back up. Normally it takes like 24 to 48 hours for it to naturally fill back up, but you can use some things like sensitive toothpaste, like Sensodyne has potassium nitrate, or 10% nanohydroxyapatite. Nanohydroxyapatite is really good at kind of helping with sensitive and really refilling those holes back up. So basically just however long it takes for your organic matter to fill back up those tubules. Either way, just use hydrogen peroxide. It doesn't really matter how you do it, it's gonna whiten your teeth. All right, watch me realize my braces have created 2 uneven front teeth. Oh my gosh, I see them. And there they are. Now, this is actually something that we get a ton in the orthodontics world. And you know, what do they say? Things always look worse before they get better. Braces can be that way sometimes because we're moving teeth around, okay? And there could be a couple reasons why this happens. One, she's in the middle of treatment, things are moving around. In the middle of treatment, we see kind of what's off and we do what's called a pano-repo appointment where we take a panoramic x-ray and then we reposition the brackets if we need to get the things that are maybe off. Like this tooth is off a little bit, we drop the bracket down to lift it back up. Another thing we can do is we can use TMA wires and we can actually bend a little step up bend there to drag this tooth up. Now, the other thing that could happen is that she has worn down one of the teeth and one of the teeth is actually shorter than the other teeth. And so actually what we do in orthodontics is we want to line up actually the gum tissue line and then we leave and see how far the edges are off. And that way, if they're tiny off right here, we just do a little polishing enameloplasty to the edges to make them even again, leaving the top perfectly in line because you wouldn't want the edges to be in line and then your gum tissue when you smile one is like higher than the other. That doesn't always look the best. My guess is more than likely they're still in the finishing stage of her stuff and they will be moving a bracket around or they will be adjusting some stuff. So don't worry, even though it's scary now and you're seeing things go off or might not be quite exactly where you are, talk to your orthodontist when you come in. They'll probably reassure you that, hey, we're gonna take care of it. It's gonna happen eventually, I promise. It's the definition of trust the process. Oh my gosh, and literally Ella just said, ortho is always the biggest trust the process. It really is. Like the amount of times I have people come in and they're like, doc, is this really what it's supposed to? I'm like, just trust the process, trust the process. It takes time, okay? You gotta go through the wires. And there we go, you guys are so educated. One of the person says, once your braces are off, the doctor will actually shade the longer one down to match the other one. And yes, in that scenario where one is longer, one shorter, we do match them and we shade them down to be the equal. And that answers your question. She's basically said, yes, I was unaware my teeth could do this. This is my first time getting braces, only had them for 5 months. So that makes sense. She's probably just right about to get into that pano repo appointment where they're gonna reposition things and make it all look good. So, you know, just don't worry about it. We went to school for like 15 years for a reason. It was a long time, cost a lot of money, but at least it's gonna give you that Hollywood smile.
If you have frequent nosebleeds,
oh my gosh,
there's a crazy chance that you could have a tooth growing in your nose. This incredibly rare condition begins in the womb when a developing tooth bud migrates to the nose.
This is actually real, guys.
Once the tooth has developed, you might begin to experience chronic irritation in your nostril.
Yeah.
To remove it, a doctor will insert surgical instruments through your nostril and carefully extract the tooth.
This is actually a real thing. People really do get teeth in their noses sometimes. This is actually happening. We have these things called mesiodens too sometimes, which is basically, it's an extra tooth bud, right? In the middle of the line, extra tooth in the middle, mesio, you know? And sometimes, yes, you'll get it right inside this area. It'll actually come up through there. Now I've seen them in some different places and even you can get them like up in here somewhere and you gotta like go over in and get it and stuff. But yeah, through the nose is a very common place we see it. Actually not very common, but for a mesiodens coming out of the face, that's kind of where it's gonna be. In fact, you can have extra tooth buds in a lot of different places. We call that hyperdontia, where you basically have a lot of extra teeth around instead of just the ones that you have. And it's basically just random tooth buds going in random places. Do you call a doctor or a dentist for that? A lot of times you may call an oral surgeon for something like this. A dentist probably wouldn't take it on. Maybe an ear, nose, and throat guy. Maybe they work together sometimes. You know, that does happen where we get like cross-dependent between different doctors and we all work together. This happens a lot in like cleft lip and palate too. We work with multiple different doctors to get things like that done. Why do I not believe this? Well, you should believe it because it's true. And I know a lot of you guys, people commenting in there saying like, I got a nosebleed, do I have one of these? No, you probably don't. You would know if you had a tooth coming out of your nose. Either way, still pretty crazy. All right, double jaw surgery, 8-week progress. Oh my gosh, first off, we got to go ahead and pause it here at the beginning. What a lower jaw. This is what we call a class 3 skeletal issue. It's where you have a big underbite, right? And sometimes it's from the lower jaw growing too far. Sometimes it's from the upper jaw not growing far enough. And for him, it kind of looks like both happen. You see, when the lower jaw gets out in front of the upper jaw is normally the containing arch. It stops your lower jaw from growing. So if this is just out here doing nothing and nothing is holding it back, it can just grow all at once. Whereas actually it's now stopping the upper jaw from growing as well. So if you look at his face, he really does need a double jaw surgery. The lower jaw needs to come back, the upper jaw needs to come forward. So let's go ahead and see what the progress looks like. Oh my gosh, yeah, right after. You can see the huge change already, even though the lip is kind of crazy, you know. I know girls that would pay money for that. Look at that profile, looks so much better. We look at this thing called the E-line, where it's the nose, lips, and chin all kind of come together here. Before it was like, wow, way out there. Kind of remind me of that McDonald's mascot that was it was a moon face guy. Yeah, anyways. But now he looks really good. That jaw has really came back. The upper jaw has really came far forward. That's why that upper lip is just, it has so much trauma there that it's kind of blown up. That will go down over time. And that was only 8 weeks. You know, there's not a lot of times that I actually recommend surgery for people because a lot of times it's just tooth related and it's pretty easy to fix. But trust me, when they come in, they need jaw surgery, you know they need jaw surgery. And this one 100% could not be fixed with just braces by itself, no matter what you did. That one's a jaw surgery patient. Oh, that's funny. Lucy was like, bro, he kind of was mogging over there with that big old lip. The temperature guy below had the moon face guy, weirdly enough. I'm telling you, there is a McDonald's mascot from like the early 90s who was like a moon, like a half moon. I can't remember what he is. I'm gonna try and find it and put it up here, but I remember to see him. You got lip filler? Looks good, man. I was gonna say there's a lot of girls out there that paid a lot of money to get lips that look like that, okay? Either way, super cool that you got that done. Hope your recovery goes awesome. It really does look that good, and his life is gonna be changed forever after that, which is one of the cool things about being an orthodontist oral surgeon. We can do some really cool stuff. Oh my God.
I'm so tired. Fucking hell.
Oh man, because my tooth is killing me. I can't sleep. Oh my God. You know, the crazy thing is there's some people that are saying like, she's overreacting. And I can tell you right now, tooth pain is one of the worst pains in the entire world. And this is why I am so adamant, and most dentists are adamant about like getting your wisdom teeth out and stuff. Because you know, you don't think that you need them out. You're like, oh, I don't need these things out. I can barely see them. Only a little piece is sticking up. Well, that little piece is sticking up, even though your whole tooth can't come in, will eventually get infected. And then that infection will turn to a bigger infection, which will turn into a root canal, which will turn into an abscess, shooting your whole face out sideways. And then you're going to be in so much pain, you physically cannot sleep. And then you're gonna have to go to the ER, and then you're gonna have to go get emergency surgery to get it out. Big old abscess, and it's a big problem. The other issue that I see with this is they'll go in and they'll get some emergency antibiotics, either from the ER or the dental office. And then they'll take these antibiotics, it'll cause the swelling to go down, and then that pressure on the nerve will go away, and the pain will kind of let up on them. And they say, oh, okay, the pain's gone, I'm good. No, tooth pain is not like a normal infection where, you know, you got an infection on your arm, you treat it, and then all of a sudden you don't have the infection anymore. No, that infection is still growing and building inside that tooth, and it's actively kind of pushing the stuff out that you're fighting with that antibiotic. You are not going to cure your infection with that. You need to get a root canal, a crown, and probably, if it's too bad, a whole pulling of the tooth to get that infection out of your mouth so you don't have that issue anymore. So even if you go get antibiotics, a couple days later, it's gonna turn into this. You're gonna be so mad that you didn't go get it done when you were supposed to. I'm telling you, tooth pain is the worst. This girl is not overreacting. I have seen way worse than this, and I would never want to be in a position with a huge abscess tooth because it is painful. She isn't overreacting, by the way. Exactly. She's really not. It's kind of like that big of a deal. And Irish says it is this serious. And actually it is pretty serious because if you have an infection, it can actually get up into what we call the cavernous sinus, and that infection can go up into the brain, and it can actually you and take you out. Yeah, it really does happen. Oh my gosh, Noah said I know a guy, the Hawaiian dude who like pulled his tooth out. I remember that from like a couple months ago. Yeah, no, that's always an option, is just pull the tooth. Unfortunately, in the lower income communities, that's happening a lot, you know, where they'll have a abscess, something like that, they can't get the root canal on the ground, and unfortunately they just pull the tooth because they just have to get rid of that pain. I really wish that, you know, we could make dentistry a little cheaper so that we could save more teeth. That would be awesome. Working on it with our company, something nice, but you know, it's gonna take a while. But you know what you can do to avoid this? Brush and floss and take care of your teeth, because then if you don't let it get infected in the first place, it can't get worse, and then it can't get a huge abscess, and you can't be in that crazy dental pain. Either way, it's not a place that I want. Extraction in traditional braces versus Damon braces, a twin experiment. I've actually seen this before. This is where they had two twins. They took teeth out on one, and then they didn't take teeth out on the other. And so actually, let's go ahead and go back through this so you can see what we got going on here. So this first patient that you're seeing here is basically one of the twins, and this one got their extractions taken out. And so what that means is they took 4 teeth out on this person, okay? And so what happens when you take teeth out on people is most of the time, you take them out because they're crowded, right? You only use about 10 to 20% of that space, and then there's space left over. So what do? You gotta close it up. And the way physics and forces work is when you close things up, things go backwards like this. And if this first one you see, we like to look at what's called the E-line. Now we look at a lot of different things, but this is just one of them. And that's where the nose, chin meet, and the lips should be right on that line. And so if we make kind of an imaginary line here, you can see that his chin is recessed back. Not only that, but his lips are recessed back too, because you pulled things backwards. And if you look at this next one, even though his lips are a little bit further behind that E-line, that can just be because of a big nose and a big chin sometimes. But you can see that growth of that mandible has really gone forward, and he has a much fuller appearance and a much better profile, showing that basically pulling all that stuff back and getting all that stuff back due to the extractions actually made his profile look worse. Now I will say, when you look at these two twins side by side from the frontal aspect, you can't really see that much of a difference, but from the side, you really can see a big change. And this is one of the reasons why me personally, I'm a non-extraction orthodontist, why a lot of newer age orthodontists are. In fact, most of the extraction orthodontists are the 70 and 80-year-olds from back in the day. They learned this because that was the only way they had to do it. There was no other way to do it. So you were either gonna leave it crowded, you were gonna flare things out like crazy, or you were gonna pull it back and cause this. So they were just kind of doing what they did. They just have never changed with the times. Now we have things like IPR that we can basically polish between and get just enough space to fix that crowding without damaging that profile. And in fact, sometimes even making the profile better. So someone said, can't afford Damon, but will standard self-ligating brackets work the same? Now Damon is not that much more expensive than regular brackets. It is what we use because it's kind of the gold standard for non-extraction. It's called a passive self-ligating bracket. But even if you're a regular traditional braces and you're not getting extractions, you still can similarly get a result. The problem with that is there's a lot more friction in traditional braces. So when you're doing non-extraction, you can cause a lot more flaring and problems with the non-extraction, which is one of the reasons why they took teeth out in the first place. Now Lemon T says, I was told I need extractions and Damon braces. Well, you gotta remember, some of these old school orthodontists just use a new bracket. They still do extractions. They don't think of anything differently. And in fact, Damon brackets, because they're passive, actually allow for extraction spaces to close a lot faster. So it actually makes their job easier. It's just they'd never switch to the whole non-extraction point. And that being said, there are some people that still get extractions that just have super intensely crowded, but it is very rare, maybe like 1 a year in our practice. That being said, if an orthodontist tells you you need 4 teeth out specifically, I would highly recommend going at least getting a second opinion from a non-extraction orthodontist, a Damon orthodontist, just to make sure that you're not getting bamboozled there, because I have stopped so many people from getting their 4 teeth out. But what do you guys think? All right, you guys tag.
Have you been flossing?
Yeah.
Then how do you explain these cavities?
I don't know where those came from, I swear.
I have ways of making you talk.
I confess, I don't floss. I'm sorry.
Apologies can't prevent gingivitis.
This is a funny video you guys are having from the land of bogs, and gosh, it is so true. Because I would say some of the #1 cause of cavities is not flossing. Because I mean, you could be cleaning all around your teeth, but if you're not cleaning between your teeth, that's one of the main places we see cavities, is between the teeth. That and on top in the little grooves. That's why you get those sealants when you're a kid. And actually, fun fact, I know you guys are always like, oh my gosh, it's so painful when the dentist goes in there and flosses. That's because you don't floss, okay? You've got gingivitis. It's kind of like if you had a wound and you just let it get infected and then you're just like poking at it. Yeah, it's going to be sore. But the thing is if you floss regularly, that pain will slowly go down and go away. Those gums will go from being nasty red and inflamed to being a nice light pink color, and they're gonna get more firm, and they're gonna stop bleeding, and they're gonna stop hurting. And then when you go to the dentist, they're gonna say it looks good, and then when they do their flossing, it's not gonna be painful at all. It's so weird how that works. And Buddy said, it makes my teeth bleed every time I floss. Yes, that's the gingivitis. That's actually a sign that you need to floss more, not less. I know there's some people who are like, I'm damaging my stuff, I'm making myself bleed, I shouldn't floss anymore. No. That's the opposite. She said me every time I'm at the dentist. I know it feels that way. The crazy part is there's nothing you can hide from the dentist, because it is a physical manifestation of what you've got going on in your mouth. I can physically see it. No matter what you say, I know if you're lying or not. So maybe just floss and you'll have a better time at your dentist next time. All right, you guys tagged me in this one. I have no idea what that says, but oh my gosh, dude, that is the most wiggly tooth Oh my gosh, she's literally just twisting it in her mouth. Okay, so basically what happens is if you don't clean your teeth and you get infected, well, that bone loss will go and it is going to lose the support of that tooth and you will have, oh my gosh, no support left anymore. And there she goes. She just straight up pulled it out of her mouth. Oh my gosh. And you will be able to, just like that, pull it right out of your mouth. And I know it's a little bright, but it's hard to see, but you can kind of see here that we've got like a healthy tooth structure here with a lot of bone. But as you get in this disease state, it will slowly start disappearing down. And this is what's happening where she's right here. She has this, there's nothing left to hold that in anymore. Now this is caused by a couple bacteria, P. gingivalis, Treponema denticola, and a few others. Basically you have that inflammation of the bone, and if you're not cleaning it, that bone will just dissolve away over time. And then if there's nothing left to hold it in, you can literally just pull it out just like she did. Now the way you stop this is flossing and brushing your teeth. I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at these comments and I can't read any of them. I don't even know what language this is. But either way, I think the thing is universal, is just floss your teeth and take care of them, and then you won't end up with issues like this, because if you don't, well, every one of your teeth are gonna fall out like this eventually. All right.
Oh my God, look at her teeth. Oh my God, look at her chin hair. What you got? Guaranteed you're not perfect either, honey. Have a good day.
You know what? I agree with her, because we are all not perfect. But the reason is you guys tagged me, and it wasn't even about anything crazy about her teeth. It was mainly the comments of what the heck is behind her teeth. I've never seen teeth in a teeth row, teeth like this. And yes, obviously she does have some recessions, she's got some cavities. She has not taken care of her teeth as good as we have. But like she said, we're not all perfect, we all have our issues. But what I'm here to talk about is those teeth in the back. And yes, that is exactly what they are, teeth. And she does not have extra teeth or a row of teeth. Those are what we call blocked out teeth. Now, when you're younger, and if you lose your baby teeth quickly, well, those teeth will fill in the gaps where those baby teeth were, and they will block out the permanent teeth from coming back in. And then they only have two options. Either they come out in the front and they become snaggle teeth, or they come out behind. Now, she had a rare case where her bottom teeth kind of fit right in between them, kind of hiding them. So when she opens her mouth, you actually see a second row of teeth there. Now, what could she do orthodontically? We'll see in a perfect world if she had healthy teeth and there wasn't anything wrong with it. We would use these things called bite blocks in the back to open up your mouth. And then we would use these little springs here in the side to push them apart, and we would bring those teeth forward over that gap, getting them crisscrossed over where they're supposed to be. Now, unfortunately, it does make it even harder to clean her teeth, and in her case, it's not the best idea to have a harder to clean surface because, well, it's just gonna make it worse over time. And I'm not too sure what's going on here, but everybody's saying they have trypophobia. I'm not too sure how this is trypophobia. I don't even know what trypophobia is. I thought that was like all the weird, like little circle thingies. Am I thinking of something different? And Nico says, dental care can be expensive, but tattoos aren't cheap. I guess it's priorities. And you know, we do see that all the time. You know, it's like people have jacked up teeth and they're like, I got a brand new Benz, I got a new purse, I got a new iPhone 17 Pro Max, but I don't have good teeth. And unfortunately, I would highly recommend you getting good teeth and taking care of your teeth, because that affects the health over your entire body, where all that other materialistic stuff is gonna go away and no one's gonna care in a year or two anyways, because it's gonna be out of style. But you know what is not ever out of style? A good smile. All right, you guys, a lot of you tagged me in this one today. We got some Invisalign. What the heck? Wait, hold up. There is no way Invisalign is gonna cause that. Let me see what we got here. She says, my dental arch is still loose. My mouth is all hurt because of Roaccutane. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that word means, but I do see down here that she says X-Class 3 in Orthognathica, which I'm sure is Spanish for orthognathic surgery. So that makes a lot more sense. So she probably had a surgery, and if it's really loose like that, that's not a good sign normally. That normally means that it failed somewhere. And as you see, she's moving her entire arch. And a lot of people don't know this, but that, yes, we completely removed that arch from the skull. Completely, it just detaches from the skull. You move it around and then you screw it in with these plates and get it locked in. It should not be moving like this. And once again, all these comments are in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, so there's not much help there. But my guess is something failed in the orthognathic surgery. She probably had a surgery, you know, in these, and and sometimes it does happen. Now, I guess there could be a rare case where something weird is going on, but if this happens to you and your arch is loose, don't post on TikTok. Go see your oral surgeon, you crazy, because something is wrong and you need to go get checked back out. I don't know, maybe my oral surgeons can chime in down below and let me know if this is normal. Like, I know sometimes like you have the surgeries immediately and then they load it, but I have never seen a full arch loose like this just out in the wild, especially after a surgery, because that is probably not a good sign. You gave your natural teeth a chance. Time to get braces. I've had enough.
Blah, 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 blah. Ish, 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 ish. Ish. Bro, shut up. Shut up. Just
You know, I mean, to be fair, I mean, she has a cool whistling talent now. But this is what we call an open bite. And fun fact, this is actually not due to genetics or anything weird. It is due to a habit. Yeah, that's right. The same habits you have, like biting your nails and stuff like that. You can have a habit that's called a tongue thrust. And that's when you swallow, you push your tongue against the front of your teeth. This is actually called an infantile swallow. So when you're babies, you swallow a certain way. It helps you with breastfeeding and things like that. And then when you get to your adult teeth, you're supposed to transition into an adult swallow. Some people don't, and they keep pushing their tongue against the front. And what happens is time and force over time moves teeth. So you're gonna go ahead and push those teeth and they're gonna start opening up. And guess what? Now that you've got this nice little hole here, your mouth likes to breathe. It likes to create more space. And so what does your tongue do? It goes into that gap. And then it's like the chicken or the egg situation. It's like, is the open bite caused by the tongue thrust, or the tongue thrust caused by the open bite, etc., etc. Now to fix this, you gotta go into orthodontics and get what's called a habit reminder, where you get all those little spiky things you guys have probably seen on the interwebs, and that just pokes your tongue and stops you from sticking your tongue through there. And you just gotta retrain your tongue to swallow correctly into the roof of your mouth, not in the front of the tongue. And those teeth will actually kind of close back down because the pressure of the lips will pull everything back. Oh my gosh, Noah says, you can be a referee. I see some natural talent here. Yeah, you could. And then Seven says, should I leave the match, chat? You know, that would be funny though, if she was like a player, like in a basketball league, and she's just trying to breathe, and like the referee's like, yo, who is whistling? I didn't call a whistle. But you know what? It is a cool talent, I won't lie. All right, my freaking braces made my gap bigger. Yeah, she got a gap there for sure. She said, this wasn't supposed to happen. Now I'm actually pausing it here in the front, and it looks like this is what we call a phase 1 case. That means that she still has baby and adult teeth. I can kind of see some back there. So why the braces are only on the front there. And so sometimes in cases like this, yes, your gap can get a little bit bigger. Your teeth can look a little bit worse before they look better. I like to say beauty is pain, you know? Now, luckily, as they go in and they're making room for things, more than likely what's happening in these phase 1 is the canines are blocked out here, and they're actually going to eventually pull all 4 of these together to create room for these canines to come down, because she's probably blocked out. This is really happening because in those phase 1 they're only putting these brackets on these front 4 teeth, and so there's not like room holding back everything else, because if you're attached to all the teeth, well, you've got teeth to pull against and keep them together. If you're only on these front 4, well, it's going to straighten them out, but it can't necessarily keep them together. Now eventually she'll get what's called a power chain. That power chain will pull those 4 teeth together and will close that gap. So it's not that big a deal, and this happens, a lot of people freak out, there's little gaps early or weird things or teeth are uneven or whatever. It's fine. We know what we're doing. We're gonna eventually fix it, I promise. I Love Tom says, get power chains. Exactly, you will get power chains. Oh my gosh, yeah, he said sorry, but I had to. Okay, her gap's not that big, guys, let's be nice. And then Kinsey says, you have boneless braces. I've been seeing this term around. Can please somebody tell me what boneless braces are? All right, what do we got here? Oh my gosh, this is a time lapse. All right, that's crazy. Yeah, those are your canine teeth. Okay, we'll go through, see it all, and then we'll go back and explain it. Okay, that's crazy. So basically, these are basically impacted canines coming in. Yes, we do use lasers to uncover those canines. So if you have to get canines uncovered, that's what it looks like. You then go in and you grab those little buttons, you pull them out with those chains, and you see those little springs on the side to help push open the space there to get everything in, and then it just comes right back in. This is actually a pretty common thing we do in orthodontics, because, by the way, the canines are almost the most common impacted teeth in the entire world, right? So this happens quite a bit. And actually something like this takes a long time. Canines are the biggest, thickest teeth that we've got to move through the bones. And so it can take a full year sometimes to uncover and move these all the way across. So almost half of your braces treatment just to get these dang teeth in. And sometimes even then the canines just don't come in. They're budged, they're impacted, they're stuck. Kind of the rule of thumb that we have is if they cross anywhere past this midline between these teeth right here, so if they're past past that and getting into the central incisor, like behind them, and worst case, if they get to the midline, they're kind of really not a good chance of coming in. And so at that point, we discussed taking them out and doing some implants or canine substitution or something like that. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of you in the comments are going to talk about this because you probably have had this before. Please weigh in. Let me know how it went for you, because I know they're pretty common, but they do look kind of crazy. It's not as bad as you think, but it is a long process. But hey, you know, getting your Hollywood smile is a process we all want to go through. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't speak Spanish, but this dog sums it up perfectly for you there. That is the face that a lot of people make when they see this, but it is not as bad as it looks. But then again, what do I know? I haven't had this done on myself. I've only done it on thousands of people. So maybe the people down below in the comments, let me know how it went for you. All right, so we have got some, what is that? Oh my gosh, my man is trying to whiten some teeth that, I hate to tell you this, brother, those teeth are not gonna get white anytime soon. And unfortunately, I see this all the time. This is actually the #1 thing that I see in the dental office that I wish I could just reverse, is people that obviously need major work done. They got cavities everywhere, they got messed up teeth. And the first thing they always ask us, when I was a dentist, they asked me this, and when I specialized in orthodontics and did braces and Invisalign, same thing. They all said, how do I whiten my teeth first? Or even then, weirdly enough, a lot of people was like, you know, I know I've got these cavities. I've tried whitening strips from Walmart or whatever. It's not fixing my cavities. And it's just like, oh my gosh, what do we got going on here? And so there's two things. One is people are just uneducated, right? And it's unfortunate that they don't understand the disease state of their mouth and how serious it can be. In fact, a lot of the major, you know, bodily issues we have from heart disease, the liver disease, now we're finding strep mutans and Alzheimer's, all these different things. So yes, your body and your oral disease state really matters for your entire body. And no, whitening your teeth is not going to reverse that disease state. I know it's probably a self-conscious thing for you, and you're like, how do I make the appearance of my teeth better? And so you're trying to whiten them so maybe they'll be like cavitated but white, and so it won't be as bad. I can understand the thinking, but unfortunately, it's something we need to flip around and do, because we need to fix the problem first, and then you can whiten at the end. Like, even if people had crooked teeth, they would come in and be like, okay, well, we need to do braces or Invisalign. They'd be like, oh no, I'm just trying to whiten my teeth. I'm like, what are we doing here? What's going on? So it's definitely something that I hope people understand. Like, yes, you can whiten after you get all of your stuff fixed. And if you have a big messed up mouth like this, it doesn't matter how much you try to whiten them, all these teeth are gonna just rot out eventually and fall out of your mouth and cause big problems. And you could even potentially, you know, from the disease states that you're getting in these things, as the infection gets up and abscesses and bad stuff like that. Noxious says, man's trying to fix his gingivitis with whitening strips. Yeah, actually, it's not gonna work. It is what it is, unfortunately. We can't really fix much else in the world, and you know, all I can do is educate you guys. And actually, Mock kind of sums it up really well. He says, this is like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It's actually like just like repeatedly poking a bullet wound. It's gonna make it worse almost in some cases. What this guy really needs to do, he needs to go in, he needs to get a cleaning, to get all that gunk and that gingivitis and inflammation out of there, and then he needs to get started working on all the cavities and cleaning everything up, and then at the very end, he can whiten. But I don't know, what do you guys think?
I've been brushing my teeth with hydrogen peroxide for 8 months now. Let me tell you the pros and cons about it.
Okay, let's see.
Number one, it has kept my teeth white. And I don't use any mouthwash or whitening. This obviously isn't whitening toothpaste. Pro number two, when I'm brushing my teeth, it doesn't hurt anymore. I used to have extremely sensitive gums, and they would bleed and it would hurt a lot, so I'd have to use Sensodyne toothpaste. And that worked a little bit, but this has completely healed my gums. Now when I brush, I'm not bleeding and they don't hurt.
Interesting thoughts about hydrogen peroxide. You know, and I actually get this quite a bit because people they want white teeth. This is something that everybody wants, right? And so hydrogen peroxide is the thing that whitens their teeth. So first off, let's talk about the first thing, which is basically, he said brushing with his mouth with hydrogen peroxide every day keeps his teeth white. The answer is yes, this actually will completely do this, especially if you're using food safe grade hydrogen peroxide. You're not using crazy, weird percentages that can harm you and stuff like that. The problem with this, brushing with only this, is that one, you don't have any protective benefits like a fluoride or an anhydroxyapatite or anything to remineralize the teeth or help with that. And then two, if you use hydrogen peroxide for a long time, over time, you can get what's called an oral hairy tongue because you're killing certain bacteria over time, and it allows this overgrowth bacteria to have a nasty hairy tongue. It's not a good. And on number two is very interesting. He said, now that I'm brushing every day with my hydrogen peroxide tube, my gums aren't hurting as as much, my teeth aren't hurting. And lastly, I used to have this issue all the time. And so that just doesn't really make sense. And so the only way that I can really make sense of this is that, guess what? He wanted to whiten his teeth. Beforehand, he was just brushing probably not that good, right? But now that he knows that he can brush every day and whiten and brighten his teeth, it's making him want to brush every day. And so when he's brushing every day, and guess what? Cleaning his teeth every day, he's starting to get rid of that bacteria that's causing that inflammation, that pain, that bleeding. And then guess what? His teeth got healthier. And so it really wasn't the hydrogen peroxide per se that was doing it. There is some capabilities there to maybe help with some of the bacteria or something like that, but the main physical act of him just brushing every day and him trying to whiten his teeth with hydrogen peroxide is probably cleaning it up enough, because the mechanical act of just brushing your teeth is the main important thing here when you're brushing your teeth. So what are my thoughts? I would still rather you brush with something that can protect and remineralize your teeth, whether that's a nanohydroxyapatite or whether that's a fluoride. I do not care. And if you want to use this every now and then to help whiten your teeth over time, that's fine too. You can also use a whitening strip, you can use a whitening gel. I don't care. I just would not do it for the only thing over a long period of time, because you can start to cause those bacterial inconsistencies. And there we go, we got two people right up top. Leslie says, the best thing to use, but be careful if you're with your tongue, because you might get hairy tongue. And then Mama said, until you get hairy tongue. And so, I mean, obviously these people do know kind of what's going on. So hopefully they are educated and things like that. But I don't know. I don't really see a problem with it if you want to do it once or twice a week, and it would probably actually whiten your teeth a little bit too. But beware, it does taste disgusting.
You have braces like me, you're gonna get yourself some nitrate sticks, and when you get sores, you're gonna burn them so you can eat and talk. Like this morning, I can't really eat, so you're gonna grab your lip. Oh.
Oh yeah, that's a canker sore, all right, isn't it?
Oh Lord. And you're gonna burn it. And it's gonna hurt for just like 10 seconds.
More than 10 seconds.
And then you're good. It's gonna burn it. Like it just did.
I was gonna say, don't go back for more.
And then you're good. And then you're good, okay?
So first off, canker sores suck, okay? They're weirdly enough one of the only things that you cannot get rid of. You just literally have to let it run its course, and it takes about 10 to 14 days for it to go away, and it is painful, super painful. And yes, ever since I was a kid, I actually used to get these, and my mom would give me something like this. It was called like a styptic pencil or something like that, and same thing, you would cauterize it or burn it. This is like a silver nitrate stick or something like that, kind of same thing. I mean, personally, I don't really know if it helps that much. It still hurts, it still does everything. Some people claim that it kind of stops it and creates a thing, but some people say it just makes it hurt way worse. So I don't really buy. I mean, I think you really just need to let it go. And if you have braces specifically, use braces wax. Put the braces wax on there so that that tissue is not getting irritated and hit, because that's normally what causes the canker sore, is a cut or a scratch on your lip. And then yes, these are very burning painful. And to also, for a lot of people that don't know, this is not a herpetic sore or a cold sore. This is a canker sore, completely different. Canker sores are on the kind of loose tissue here, and a cold sore is actually on the lip or on the hard gun tissue down here. We call that the attached tissue. But still, these are very painful and very noticeable in people that just got braces because their tissue's trying to adapt to it. So if you get canker sores, then that's like a big deal. The interesting thing is we don't really quite know pinpoint what's causing canker sores. It could be stress, it could be anxiety, it could be like dietary problems, like you're low on iron and things like that. It could also be an underlying issue like Crohn's disease or something like that that you don't know about. And weirdly enough, if you use toothpaste with sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS, the stuff that makes your tooth foam, that can also cause it as well. So basically, there's no way of stopping it. I like Mad Natalie, she's like, and then you're good. Yeah, she did not look like she was having a fun time. And DWB says, wow, I feel like it hurts so good. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Trust me, it burns really, really badly. And especially those ones in those areas, every time you talk and every time your teeth hits it, oh, it's the worst. But eventually, you know, well, they'll go away.
Do not trust your dentist. They don't necessarily have your best interest in mind. They're not even taught the way that you can reverse cavities. There are ways to literally reverse new cavities. There are ways to prevent yourself from ever getting a cavity in your life.
Okay, hold up. Hold up, is this girl trying to call me out like I haven't been educating you guys for the past 7 years on how to do exactly these things? So the whole do not trust your dentist thing, like I get it. There's bad people in every profession. You know, I would say don't trust lawyers, but there's probably a few good lawyers as well, okay? But for real though, joking aside, okay, there's a lot of really great dentists that are spending all of their time trying to educate you guys and do the right thing and all this stuff. So to put her claim, she was like, first off, did you know that dentists don't know how to reverse cavities? Guys, we have talked about this till I am blue in the mouth, okay? Let's get out the trusty dusty model. You see this? This is your enamel. This is your dentin, this is your pulp. If a cavity goes in and does not get into the dentin layer and it's still in the enamel, guess what? It can be reversed. You can use stuff like nanohydroxyapatite, you know, to remineralize and rebuild up that enamel. And actually, weirdly enough, sometimes just brushing and flossing really good in that area can allow your body to naturally remineralize that area. And yes, we tell people about this all the time. It's literally one of the main things we educate people on. And actually, there's a whole thing called preventative dentists out there that literally bleed and teach this exact thing. And then she also goes on to say how like there's ways that you will never get a cavity ever again, and then goes into oil pulling. Ugh. And I mean, oil pulling is not going to hurt you by any means, but it is definitely not going to keep you from getting cavities for the rest of your life, because a cavity is caused by a bacteria called strep mutans, okay? It's a bacteria problem. It's like termites to wood. It's like saying coconut oil is gonna magically make termites stop eating into wood. No, it does not work that way. And so old toothpaste, yes, we just strengthened the enamel to stop the termites from eating into the wood, okay? And I'm really not trying to turn this into any product thing. Trust me, I'm not, but our product is the only one that does it currently. I'm sure there will be more in the future that does it, but now we have these biolipid emulsions and biotech products that are now directly targeting and attacking and destroying this specific bacteria. So things like that, even though the mind does the exact thing that you would think would stop you from getting cavities for life, I can't even say that. So why would you say that about coconut oil? But regardless, I'm not trying to sell you a toothpaste or anything like that. The key is I'm trying to educate you. Brush, floss, take care of your teeth. If you happen to have a very high bacterial limit, you're gonna have a higher chance of getting cavities no matter what you do, unfortunately, unless you use some of these newer technologies coming out. And my guess is we're actually going to be completely solving oral disease in 3 to 5 years. That's really what my true benefit is, and that's actually something nice. That's my goal, is to solve oral disease forever, so you never have to buy another tube of toothpaste ever again, which I know is counterintuitive, but still, whatever. And I think she goes on to say that a dentist never tells you about nanohydroxyapatite toothpaste, which is literally like, yeah, I was one of the very first nanohydroxyapatite toothpaste in all of the United States, you know, and the goal was literally to educate you guys on it, and have been educating on it. So yes, dentists do this, and we do talk about all this type of stuff. And I'm sure there's dentists and stuff that recommend oil pulling and stuff too. It's not gonna harm you. Go have fun, do as much as you want. You can swish your mouth out with water for 20 minutes as well too, and get a lot of benefits from it, I'm sure. But saying every dentist is evil and does not do that is it's just not true. Matesso says, and we should trust you because, I mean, that's true. She probably has no dental education at all. She had probably nothing in there other than what she's found on the internet, which surprisingly with AI is gonna get better and better, and we're actually gonna get more informed, and we're gonna be really smart one day, which is gonna be awesome. Until then, I'm just trying to educate you guys. And then Krista says, I'm a dental hygienist. I recommend both of these things. So see, other dental professionals recommend some of these things already as well too, which just makes more sense. And Zach says, trust my dentist? No. Trust someone on TikTok? Yes. But you know what'd be even better than that? It's just trusting a dentist on TikTok. But once again, what do I know?
Hey girlies, put my lumens in with me. Today is my 20th birthday.
My man's is 20, by the way. Okay, this is kind of weird because he does have rubber band hooks, but he's got no braces on. That tells me that,
just being fucking big.
Bro, there's no way 20-year-olds act like this, right? That's not like a real thing. He can't be 20. There's no way. That's like a 13-year-old. I know 13-year-olds that act like this. But anyways, he probably has Invisalign because those buttons are normally meant for cross bites. And if he doesn't have braces, it just would not, like there's nothing to stabilize it. So you need to have, bro, he's looking at me, I don't know what to say. So he needs to have some type of a liner to actually hold his teeth in there. So that doesn't make sense. But yeah, the way he's wearing those are cross bite ones. Okay, I think he's just being weird now again, because that's not a real rubber band. This is a real person. Is this how people act these days? Oh yeah, and then there's the aligners going in. See, I told you he's got the Invisalign. No, first off, you would put those in first, and then you would put the rubber bands on after normally. You wouldn't. Okay, I'm done with it. What a weird generation this is. This man is not 20 years old. It's like, I know 11-year-olds are more mature than this. Meg says face card saving him for real. He definitely probably looks Max's. I will give him that. And then Livy says, happy birthday, Slay Queen. And you know what? How rude of me. Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. I hope you have an awesome one. Oh, we got some ASMR here. Oh my goodness. and then they come off and you're ready to go. That is so satisfying, by the way. But let's go ahead and let's start at the beginning, see what he's got, and then we'll go through this little transformation here. So at the start, before the braces go on, my man's got a lot of crowding. His front teeth are really tight here too. When you unravel all these, they're gonna move forward and start to line up. One of the things that could happen from here is he could get what's called an open bite, because if these guys are already touching and they open up further, guess what? Now that creates an open bite. See that? See how that creates a little open bite there? And so that's something that normally you would see in a case like this. And so let's see what happens at the very end. So they're going all the way through, he's putting the wires in, yada, 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 the bones move, and then we stop. And so now that the braces are off, you can actually kind of see exactly kind of what I talked about there. A little bit of an overbite here on this lateral side. And so normally what you would do specifically, and we actually see this quite a bit, is you would take these little laterals and you would drop them down, because when you have kind of a smile arc like this and then you break it by having the laterals too hard up, you start to get this bunny tooth look. And I'm sure you guys know people with that bunny tooth look. It might even be you yourself. And really it's nothing wrong. People think that it's the two front teeth that are too big, and that's not actually the case. It's just these laterals need to come down a little bit to smooth out that arc and give you that nice smile arc, that Hollywood smile, you would say. Sierra says, I wish this process was this fast. Yes, I also wish braces were only 10 seconds instead of like a year and a half to 2 years. And then Hassan said, do I need braces, my brother in Christ? Yes. Yes, you do. You need more than that. That looks like you need some jaw surgery. And then CY says, the power of braces, no, the power of AI. And yes, AI is getting pretty crazy. Actually, let me know down below what you guys think about AI, because I'm gonna start to probably integrate some AI, I think, into my stuff. It's just too powerful to do some really cool stuff to educate you guys on. But I wanna know down below what you guys think, if you would hate me for using AI or not, because I'm probably gonna use it anyways. I'm just letting you know.